I'm one of the first comedians to ever go, you f***ing coming and you on stage. You're a presenter, aren't you? Introduce yourself on. So I was like, yo, it's Richard Blackwood here. And at number 3, me, black comedians back then, sounds crazy, were a bit afraid to do impressions of white people. Then everybody's like, oh, you think you're a rapper? Yeah, I've had the top 10. And you just saw, and they just weighed them in.
No one's gonna fucking help you. You have to fucking help yourself.
In the 90s, you had to be from a different kind of cloth. Your gangster was tested all the time. So I'm standing with a man them now, and P. Diddy was there. No baby oil was in this function. Right? I'm on stage and I'm saying, listen, guys, because I know there's a serious team in there. So I'm saying, everybody hold it down. No trouble tonight. Then the next thing you know, pop, 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 right? It kicks off. The 90s, even though it looks like it was fun when you look back at all the videos, it was good times, but it was dangerous. Aspire to inspire before you expire. A good fucking year.
So I'm starting to put raves on. You're starting your comedy career.
And hence we're here now.
Love it.
Still looking pretty.
Let me tell you more about today's incredible sponsor, Blakey Trades. This is trading education, not financial advice, not hype, and not one of those signal groups full of screenshots and bullshit. It's focused on the gold market, but what sets it apart is the structure. You learn why trades are taken, how to manage risk properly, and how mindset and discipline actually matters if you really want to last. There are weekly Zoom calls, live breakdowns, and proper explanations, not just copy this and pray. Nothing's forced, and you're in control the whole time. If you're done guessing and want to learn how trading actually works, use my link below today. It's the only way to get into Blakey Trades with 150% deposit bonus. That's right, 150% deposit bonus. I'm telling you from first-hand experience, this is the business. Get involved, smash that link, and join the Blakey Trades crew, and we will see you all on the other side. Welcome back to the Terry Stone Connection. In Hollywood, they've got Eddie Murphy, they've got Chris Rock, and in London, we've got a legend called Richard Blackwood. He's here today, and I'm actually proud to say that I cast him in his first ever gay role. Now,
yes, you did. Oh my days.
And not many people know that. And he was also a star of Another Hood, but we've known each other for years. So please, put your hands together for Mr. Richard Blackwood's in the building. Good to see you, brother.
Friend.
Thank you.
Yeah. I knew you when you had hair.
I know. That's how long we've known each other.
When you had hair. No, do you know what? First of all, I've got to say I'm really proud of you, right? Because I've known you from, you might as well say the beginning when you was doing your thing, right? Do you know what I mean? And then when you was doing your movies and stuff, right? And obviously you've put me in them, so I'm very grateful for that. First, gay. Listen, so he cast me, He's like, he goes, mate, got role for you, blah, blah, right? And it was the last film that Bob Hoskins did.
That was it.
Right? Do you know what I mean? Right? And I was like, originally it was called Last of the Mumpers or something, wasn't it?
It was called The Mumper because it was based on a book.
Right, right. And I remember, I was like, wow, film with Bob Hoskins. He was like, yeah, this character's here, a bit tough guy, blah, blah, gay, blah. And I went, because you just slipped past it.
I was hoping you wouldn't notice, bitch. You know what I mean? I was hoping you wouldn't notice.
No, because I was like, and then I saw the outfit, I was like, right? But it was a lot of fun. And I remember where was we when...
You can't go into Soho anymore, can you?
No, at all, because I played it too well, right? But what was crazy was, obviously, I got the chance to meet Bob Hoskins.
Yeah, which was amazing.
And
what
oh my gosh. And I remember we was in, was it a school or something? I can't remember who it was, but I remember we was having lunch before we had to go and film scenes. And I remember he walked past and he came to sit down. And I looked at him and I was like, because obviously I'm thinking about Who Framed Roger Rabbit, The Long Good Friday, all these things. And I remember I just went, mate, I just want to say, I'm so honored to meet you. And he looked at me, he goes, I don't know what you want me to say. I just went, not a thing. That's it. He went, all right, he just walked off. But I thought, wow, Bob Hoskins, like it just brought back all these, so thank you, because
it's wicked.
Yeah.
Did you see, and I'm sure you was there, but there was a scene when we was all in it, and I think there was like all 43 cast members in the room.
In the pub.
But before that, we was all sitting around.
Yeah, I remember.
Having a coffee.
Yeah.
And there was like Jenny Agatha.
Yes.
There was you. There was me. There was Bob Hoskins. There was that little.
I remember the room. I actually remember the room we was in. I actually remember the room. And what was crazy, Jenny Agatha, obviously from American Worth in London.
Yeah.
Right. So once again, I was just Like, I was literally in the room with all these people where I was just going, sorry, no need, I don't want to be rude, but I just want to say I'm a fan. And I was like, oh, Richard. I was like, first of all, you know my name, thank you. But obviously she's a legend. But obviously for my period, it was American Werewolf in London.
Listen, you was Logan's Run or American Werewolf.
Yeah, exactly. And American Werewolf in London is one of my favorite horror films. And it was like, oh my gosh, she's right there. So once again, through you, like that was.
The funniest story I remember was we was all in that room, and Adam Deacon was on his phone and he was doing something, and Bob Hoskins was just sitting there looking at him like that, and he turns around and he goes, "What are you doing?" And Adam goes, "I'm updating my social media, Bob." And he goes, "You updating your what?" He goes, "My social media." He goes, "What's that?" And he goes, "Well, what it is," he goes, "people follow me and I post pictures and videos and I talk to my followers." And he goes, "What a fucking sad life you've got or something. Put your phone away, you're at fucking work." And Adam was like this. Okay, Bob.
Different generation.
Okay, Bob, put it away.
Put the fucking phone away. But he was that kind of guy though.
But that's what I loved about him, because he was R.I.P. Bob, but he was...
Did you know him well before that though?
No, do you know something? I've obviously, like you, watched his movies and loved him as an actor, and he won an Oscar, so pretty cool to have him in the film. And then when we were doing this film, someone said, you need like someone to anchor the movie.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, who? And they said, what about Bob Hoskins? And I thought, we ain't going to get him. But unfortunately, he wasn't very well. I don't know if you noticed.
No, I remember.
But he was sort of shuffling around a little bit.
Yeah.
And my wife's father died of Alzheimer's. And she actually came on set and she actually went, I think he's got Alzheimer's. And I said, how'd you know? She said, he's just shuffling around. He looks around like he don't know where he is. She said, I think he has got it. And I was like, nah, he's just old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then within about 6 or 7 months,
that's what I'm saying.
It happened. So,
it happened.
And then he I think he died shortly after that. So that was his last British comedy.
Yeah, it was.
Me and you, baby.
No, that's why I say I respect you. Like, besides the fact that we've been friends for so many years, but it was like, I'm in this place and I'm like, Bob Hoskins is eating like potatoes and bacon. Right?
And we're having a munch with him.
He's just sitting right there. I'm like, people don't but you could tell that there are people that don't realise how much of a legend he was.
100%.
Right, do you know what I mean?
My kids were like that. They come on set and I was going, do you want a picture with Bob? And they were like, no, not really.
Yeah.
I was like, do you actually know who he is?
Bobby.
And they went, no, Dad, I'll have a look. And then when they went home, they looked up on Netflix for Amazon or whatever it was. They were like, Dad, we definitely want a picture.
Yeah,
I mean, we didn't know he didn't know he won an Oscar, didn't know this, didn't know that. They just thought he was like a little old man, you know what I mean? So,
Long Good Friday is probably one of the that's our Scarface.
100%.
If you think about it, because it came out, It came out in 79, 80, I think it was. That was our Scarface, because Scarface came out 81, 82. So before Scarface was him, right? If you think about the characters and how similar they were, right? Do you know what I mean? And anyway.
He was great. He was great. But it's not about Bob, it's about you today, Rich.
No, I appreciate you. Thank you.
What I'd love to do, I'm sure all of the audience would already know who you are, but they probably don't know about your history. So for me, I only discovered recently that you were cousins with Vas Blackwood. So
which we discovered at a funeral.
Which is mad.
It's black people. Black people, you know I love you, but we discovered we're related at funerals. That's because we go to a funeral and we go, oh, we're grieving, we look up and go, you doing it? And it's like, oh, it's my uncle. It's like, oh, it's mine too. that's how that's it. Oh, you're my brothers. Right? So literally, but with Vas, I love Vas. And I knew Vas before we realized we was related. So when Vas, not long after, was it not Lockstock? What was he in?
It was Lockstock. He played Roy Breaker, didn't he?
There you go, Lockstock. Because I went to the premiere of that, and I remember he started to put on comedy shows, believe it or not, right? He would host them, and, because he just doesn't give a shit, right? Do you know what I mean? He's not necessarily that funny. Love you, right? But he just thought, let me just put on these shows. I remember he would introduce me as his cousin, because of our last names, but we didn't know. We just say, hey guys, my cousin, blah, blah, blah. And then literally one day, I can't remember whose funeral it was, but it was one of our uncles or second uncles or whatever. Right. And then somebody said, you do realize you two are actually cousins? And we was like, shit, we've been play cousins for all this time. So we actually, and then now I would see him at, in actual fact, what was a film that I did? And he was there. right? He was in, and we was in a couple of scenes, and he just make sure you take care of him, blah, blah, you good. What's nice with Vas is that Vas, he doesn't talk industry with me, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, literally just like, you good? They're treating you well, blah, blah, right? I can't remember what film set it was on. He goes, make sure you look after him. And he just walked off, right? And then the last thing, I did an audition for a Guy Ritchie film, which I didn't get, right? And he was, as I was coming in, he was leaving. He's like, of course. And I was like, of course, right? And that was it. But no, Vas is, he used to be a nutter, right? When we used to hang out, man, Vas was the person that if somebody spoke to me even remotely funny, and Vas was like, it's really weird. Vas is short and I'm like 6 foot. But Vas was a problem, right? You know, like Vas was very close to the characters he played in real life. Like, you didn't want to get on the wrong side of him. I mean, he would laugh now and go, Richard, behave yourself. But trust me, we used to hang out and, you know, I would get attention from females. And so guys would probably look at me and think like, who does he think he is? If they even stared at me funny and Vas was there, they're being beaten up by the star. They go, being beaten up by the guy from Lockstock. But he would beat you up though, right? Like he was a serious dude.
Was you wasn't in Rolling with the Nines, though, were you?
No, I know.
I remember you was at the premiere.
I was at the premiere, right? Yeah, you did that, didn't you? You did it with not Picky.
Picky and Biggs.
Biggs.
Yeah.
Biggs, right? So Biggs and I go back, well, Picky and I too, but Biggs and I go back. So how I first met Biggs, I haven't seen Biggs in years, right? But he knows I love him like cook food. But we he was putting on shows, and I remember I was meant to host one of their shows, and we just got talking from there. H-Town.
Right.
I'm sure we brought over H-Town, and they, you know, Americans would come over and not realize how serious certain Londoners are. Oh, right. And you know, Biggs was he's a serious dude, right?
North Star.
He's the elder, right? Do you know what I mean? So he's like my age. I think Biggs is my age or a bit older. I think a couple of years older than me. But like, so I'm obviously I know North Star, but I knew Biggs first, right? So I remember 2 things, right, where I knew that Biggs was a serious guy. He might not remember this, but we were at an after party for some function. So I'm standing with Biggs and a few of his boys, right? Do you know what I mean? And I was there by myself. So Biggs like, come stand with us. What are you talking about? Stand with the man them. So I'm standing with the man them now. And P. Diddy was there with his crew. This is like, I think P. Diddy's first album.
Did he give you a massage or did he have
No baby oil was in this function. Right? He knew better than that. He was over here. Yeah. You got Biggs and them. He left the baby oil in the hotel, right? But I tell you this, we can say that because it's inside. Yeah. But what it was that he was pushing through the crowd, him and his boys, right? Because Americans would come over here and think that we drink tea in, you know, Benny Hill. They wouldn't think that people...
Well, now after you, dear boy.
Yeah. And they would, no, I don't want no trouble. No. Right? They would think we was like that. So I remember, I'm standing with Biggs and his crew, and P. Diddy and his boys are kind of, they're on each other's shoulders and they kind of push him through the crowd. Never forget it. They made the mistake, and I call it that. Biggs, if you're watching, Biggs is probably laughing. They bounced us, right? So I think they nudged me and I fell onto Biggs and his boys. Oh, who? And they just carried on going through. All I heard was, who did they think? That's all I heard was, who? Right?
Who? They do that high voice like, who?
Who did they think that? Right? So I remember I turned to Biggs as he's walking. I goes, Big loud. He goes, what do you mean allow it? Not my plan. Stay in my lane. I just saw Biggs and his crew go over to, it just looked like a mash of people. And you just saw, right? And they just weighed them in. Right? Like, literally, you just saw, and you just saw a mass of guys just go like this. And you just saw, and they just weighed them in. Right, do you know what I mean? Biggs, if you remember, and I remember just standing at the side, and afterwards, they just calmed down. They were just, like, literally, Pete and his crew just like with straws, just drinking their Ribena. That was the first time. And the second time, I remember, the last time I saw Biggs was, my son's 25 today. My son was, this should show how far back, right? My son was, when did you do Rolling with the Nines?
2005.
Yeah. So
It came out 2006.
2006. So I saw Biggs.
Might be talking shit. Might be 2005.
Was it 2005?
2005, 2006. One of them.
We'll stay. 21 years ago, right? So I remember I saw Biggs in Dalston, right? And every time I saw Biggs would always go, "You good? You know, if you need me, you just call me, right? Blah blah." He was always that guy. So the next time now, he phoned me, rolling with the nines, and bless him. Rich, we did. Nothing. Come down in the set, man. I got a role for you. Just come down now. I goes, bro, first of all, what film are you talking about? What are you talking about? We're doing Rolling with the Nines, yeah? Got a role for you. Just come down. I haven't seen the script. What are you talking about script? Just come down, yeah? We're doing a scene and man them will say you'd be perfect. Just come down. 2:30. I'm like, bro, I got things to do. This isn't how you do films. You go from my agent, you got to call me. My man called me on the day. I said, bro, I'll try it. If you come down, I remember it was Dreddy or somebody else, and he goes, you Dreddy, if you man in the scene, there's a good scene, yeah, come down, do your jokes in the scene, and if you don't come, then nothing. And I just thought, I remember I said to my man, one of my boys, I said, Biggs just called me up and said, come to do a film now. What do you mean?
It wasn't a request.
No, because also I was trying to move things around because he was like, what do you mean you can't make it? I'm like, bro, that's not how you do films, right? He talking about, listen, man's looking out for you, 2:30. I'm like, what the hell? I might be going to a wedding or something. It's like, move that out of the way. Like, so that, but Biggs, as I say, he's, that's, you might as well say he's like family.
Yeah. We did that. That was their film. We did together.
Yeah, it was a good film.
It was actually quite funny because that's the first time I worked with Vas.
Oh, really?
And we were doing a scene together. I don't know if you remember the interrogations.
Yeah.
And I actually said to him just before we did the scene, I said, Vas, I said, it's an absolute honour to be working with you. I said, you're such an amazing actor. And he went, oh, thank you so much. He said, what's my favourite work? I said, Winston in the Len Henry Show. He went, it was just, do you know when you just have a fucking laugh with someone? And I just thought, I've got to break the ice with him. And he
would have done it.
And he did laugh. And he did but after that, we become friends for life.
Yeah. But the Lenny Henry Show, wicked guy.
He was Winston, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
But going back to the premiere, I don't know if you
I was there.
I don't know if you know, but we actually had 10 armed police officers in the premiere because
at that time
because there was some shootings going on in Leicester Square.
Yeah.
And when they saw the guest list, they said, "Oh, we need to have a list of everyone that's coming." And they went, "This premiere's not going ahead unless we can have 10 armed officers."
No, but that time people don't realise there were real gangsters in that film. People don't know. Like now everybody's calm and everybody's cool. I'm sitting here, Spray's right here. Right? When Spray was Spray. Like Spray's calmed down now. Right? But when Spray was on a madness.
Yeah, and he wasn't spraying people's hair.
Yeah, exactly. He was young Spray for real. He was right. I'm sitting here, and what was making me laugh, Spray, if you're watching Big Up, he weren't smiling in none of it. He was sick. Spray was just sitting there watching the film like this, and all of us had like zoop, zoop. And I remember, I don't know what it was, he was just quiet, he was just watching the film like this. And I was like, he is not playing because he's happy, but he's just not showing it. He was just sitting there, he was right at the end. If you're watching this, he will laugh.
You say to me, he said, what do you think of him? Do you enjoy it? I thought it was brilliant. It's really funny, wasn't it? He didn't laugh.
His face I just remember sitting there at the end, and then afterwards, I think he was talking to, you met Jason Barrett. He was talking there. Jason was next to me, and him and Jason was talking, right? And I remember his face was just dead serious. But I was just thinking, I said, I don't think he's enjoying himself. He was just sitting there, and the whole movie, when people are going zoop, zoop, he was just, I was like, what? The whole time. But yeah, like literally, at that time, everybody that was anybody was in that cinema.
Well, we got Dizzy Rascal playing a dealer.
Yeah,
with Estelle in it. I mean, we did manage to get Heartless Crew. Kano that was Kano's movie debut.
Was it?
Yeah, he didn't have any doll, but he was robbing a jewelry store.
Yeah, that was the scene they wanted me in.
Right.
That was the scene. I remember that.
We can't get Richard, we get Kano instead.
Yeah, no, because I remember he goes, what? I said, Biggs, what is the scene? Look, man's robbing a jewelry store. We want you to come down, bust 2 jokes. I'm like, what, in a jewelry store getting robbed? What do you mean? Just come down, it's going to be fun, 2:30. That was it. I couldn't make it.
So that was a good film. That got BAFTA nominated.
Yeah, I thought it was the first, once again, like there was films that came out thereafter and in programs like Top Boy and things like that. But Rolling with the Nines was the first of that kind of elk.
But it was their Boys in the Hood, wasn't it? It was the first time.
And it really, because as I say, for people that were, let's say, from London, we knew who was moving certain types of ways, yeah? But for people that weren't from London or people from other countries, they wouldn't know that London was really like that, like it was techie, right? Do you know what I mean? Especially then, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, people were active.
The 90s were mad.
Oh my, listen, people don't realize, growing, like I always say, the generation that's here now, you know, yeah, you got some people that move a certain kind of way. I'm not discrediting them. But in the 90s, you had to be from a different kind of cloth, right? Because your gangster was tested, right? All the time, right? Do you know what I mean? You had to move a certain type of way, or like move with certain people that were, right? You see like guys now, they wear their Rolexes and stuff. Even if you had a Rolex, you didn't wear it. I got a Rolex now and I can wear it and I know I'm calm, right? Back then, I had a Cartier Pasha. You would see it now and again, right? Do you know what I mean?
And red carpet.
Red carpet. Otherwise, you see me in a quartz, right?
You had the calculator watch.
Calculator watch, right? Do you know what I mean? Doing my taxes. Right. You wouldn't, because back then, when you can look back now, all right, like I've seen some of your podcasts with certain people and they're talking about the way you and your man them used to roll back in the day, right? But people will see you now and not believe that. Right, they would just think, oh, you're talking about does movies and stuff, and it was like, yo, right? People that were doing music or doing movies at that time were also active at the same time, and you wouldn't know, right? Unless, of course, you was on the wrong side of the fence, then you would know. But people, like, I think I was the only one that was I got along with everybody. All right, do you know what I mean? So anybody that was doing certain things, I was cool with them. Like, they would see me and it's like, oh, Richard's the Joker, blah, blah. But all of you were like, they were dead serious. you had to. I was friends with everyone because it was the only way to be.
But the thing is, I think the reason why everyone loved you, Richard, was because obviously, you know, in this country, and obviously at the beginning of this podcast, obviously you said about Eddie Murphy and Chris Rock, and you was Chris Rock, Eddie Murphy, comedian, and I think also you acted and I think the one thing about this country is I know people do not celebrate success here like they should.
They don't.
And they do knock people down. But I think the majority of people that aren't in that what I call zone, they actually want you to do well.
Yeah.
And they go, this guy, we've got to get behind this guy because he's actually, there's no one else like him in this country. Yeah. So we have to celebrate his success. We wish him well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I was very lucky. I was very lucky to be that person because, as I say, at that time, it's like, you know what? It's really weird. I look at the younger generation that's coming through now, like the new celebs and blah, blah, blah. And they don't realize how much the way has been paved for them to just have a smooth run and to be hugely successful now, right? Because as I say, let's say certain rappers that are successful now, if they were successful back then, you had to be with a heavy team, right? Just to be out. Right, because you were a target, right? Do you know what I mean? Because it was just that thing. As I say, I would touch wood. I was very calm. I remember, for instance, I remember once I did a comedy show in North London, yeah, and so obviously North Star, they're all there, blah blah, and I never forget this, man. Right? They would laugh. Okay, so there's two parts to this story, yeah. So the first part, I'm hosting this event. It's at a club in Tottenham. And so I'm hosting it and literally I'm on stage and I'm saying, listen, guys, because I know there's a serious team in there. So I'm saying, everybody hold it down. Let's have jokes, blah, blah. I'm making jokes at the fact like, no trouble tonight, blah, blah. And the man them's going, no way, right? Because they're in the corner of my eye. Like, yeah, just hold it down, right? So I did my thing. Then the next thing you know, pop, 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 right? It kicks off, right? And they've rushed this guy, yeah? And they're beating this guy from one side of this place. Every part of the club, he got beaten, every part of the club, right? So as I'm seeing it happening, they're heading him towards my way. I'm like, right, okay, I think I got to get out of the way of this, right? So what it was, so as I'm sort of moving around, it's kind of coming towards me, right? So the crowd is kind of moving with it. And it just seems like more and more people are getting involved and just rushing this guy. And I'll never forget, I got to so it's on this side and the window's that side. So I've got round to that side and a few of the guys from that clique, right, was like, stand behind us, you're good, right? They were part of that North Star, but they weren't getting involved. That's been dealt with, right? And I remember it was 3 of them, right? And I stood there, right, and I was seeing this girl at the time, right? So me and her standing there, right? And literally, we're on a sort of a step, and they're beating this guy all the way around the club. Oh my God, right? And then in the end, it got broken up, right? I give this guy his dues, right? He never went down, yeah? It seemed like there was about 200 people on him, right? And anything that could be, they bust him, they beat him up bad. So anyway, second part to this story now, right? And then I'm outside and all the man them are there, but they was like, Richard, you good? And I'm like, am I good? I'm just glad I weren't in that because it was coming towards me.
I wasn't that guy.
yeah. Like, I'm fine, right? But what was crazy was that maybe a few years later, I'm with my boy Daniel and we're in Lakeside and I'm telling him the story. This is just years later. I don't know how it came up. I goes, bro, the man, they rushed this one guy, right? So, and I said, and it was mad. And I said, I'll give him his dues though. Man never went down, blah, blah, blah. So we're standing outside a toilet in Lakeside, near the exit. This guy comes out with his woman and goes, oh my God, you're Richard Blackwood. So I goes, nice to meet you, right? And he goes, it's really weird. He goes, I heard you talking about a guy getting rushed. Was it in Tottenham? And I said, yeah. He goes, that was me. I said, what are the fucking chances? Because that was maybe 10 years before, right? And I goes, bro, I admire you. He goes, I never went down. Right? I goes, that's what I said, oh my God. I said, Daniel, he goes, I think he bumped into one of them, right? And he didn't know who they were. So they was like, what are you doing? So he was like, what do you mean, what am I doing? That was the worst thing he could have done, right? That's all they needed, right? Because now they're gonna have a good night, right? And they literally just rushed this guy all around the club. And I said, bro, they beat you from one side of the club to another. He goes, but Richard, the reason why that was happening is because I wouldn't fall, right? The whole time, right? And then the police came and he didn't grass them up or nothing. He just said, yeah, something happened, I don't know, blah, blah, right? So, and I said, you know what, respect, because I thought he was dead. He goes, nope. He goes, the whole time, he goes, I stood my ground. He goes, I'm African. He goes, I'm from the motherland. I was like, there, that food's different. I'm used to jerk chicken. Jerk chicken, I would have fell. Right, but yeah, so as I say, back then, you either had to be affiliated with somebody or you had to be truly respected, because it was the 90s, even though it looks like it was fun when you look back at all the videos.
It was good, man.
It was good times, but it was dangerous. It was very dangerous.
We're still here though, Rich.
Looking pretty.
Praise the Lord.
We still look pretty. We still look healthy. Right? Do you know what I mean? I'm in my 50s now. Right? Do you know what I mean? And you look, as I say, I think you've gone from strength to strength. I mean, when did your book came out? You remember you did a book?
That was the King of Clubs one. That was 2006.
You signed one for them. I remember that.
Because we did a party in Mavida, didn't we?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. You signed that book for me. I still got that book, you know.
Wicked. It's probably worth about 60 quid now. So next year it might be 100. If I die, it might be 1,000.
Gonna hold on to it. Do you know what I mean? If things ain't working out movies-wise, I'm just saying. You might see on eBay. Right? But that's how far back we go. I remember when you gave me that book.
Yeah.
Right? I remember when you signed that book for me. My gosh.
It was a long time. So yeah, I knew before that.
Yeah, no, way before that. That's what I'm saying. That was way before that. Right? Do you know what I mean? And Rolling was 9 2005. Right? And what clubs were you doing?
One Nation, Garage Nation.
That's it. And I weren't really into garage, but that was the place to go. Right? I used to go to Garage Nation because it was just, you guys were running things.
Yeah, it was a good night.
Yeah, you guys were definitely running things.
Still going now.
No way.
I mean, I sold it, but it's like massive. They're doing the O2 and all sorts.
Do you think that you get the credit that you're supposed to? Because as much as you say what I've done,
right,
but everything that you've done, coming from the music to doing films, you put people on, right? You've definitely put people on. People that are really successful now. Yeah, you were behind a lot of them. Right,
I just want to say, thanks for giving me a leg up, boys.
Because it's very, you know what it is, right? As I say, when we're doing what we're doing at the time, we're doing it because of the love of what we do, right? So we will meet people at their early stages of their career, right? You know, and they turn out to be whatever they're meant to be, which is, you know, by design. But do you find that people recognize the part you've played within this movement now?
I don't know. I don't. I think people have got short memories.
Yeah.
And I think what happens is, like for me, if you done me a favour, woke me up, and then later on, you rung me.
Yeah.
You got that favour.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be like, be like, Richard who?
yeah.
Do I know you, mate? Oh yeah, the comedian. Yeah, you do a bit of acting. Yeah. Do you know what I mean about bollocks? It's sort of like, you know, and for me, it's sort of like, and the one thing that I don't like about the music entertainment business is that you give people a leg up, but then they literally carry on crying. They never go, do you need a hand up? They never sort of, so you have to do, and I was reading a book the other day, and it made me laugh. And one of the things in the book was like, no one's coming to fucking save you. No one's going to fucking help you. You have to fucking help yourself, and you have to look after yourself. And I just read that and I thought, you know what? It is true, because if you do someone a favour and then they pop up and you think, fucking, and genuinely happy for them, but then they just fucking go like that, you sort of just think, hang on a minute, you know what I mean? I'll fucking give you a leg up here, you fucking. But the thing is, I've got used to it now, and I think unfortunately, that's how life is. So you know, no one's coming to save you.
No.
You've got to do your own shit. And you know, but now I'm a lot less generous. So now if I help somebody, it will be because it benefits me, not because I want to help them. Do you know what I mean? And it's only because of, I think when you've been in, I mean, I was doing the clubs I've been in entertainment for 35 years.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I've been in it 33.
So when you're in it as long as that, you get a big, I mean, you know, right?
Yeah,
You've got the T-shirts.
Yeah. No, we've got the scars. We've got the scars to prove it, right? We're still here by grace. If you think about it, we're still here by grace, because we could have easily disappeared, right? Do you know what I mean? But I think it's because we got that rude awakening pretty early on, right? Do you know what I mean? And then we realized, because we've always been cool, right? So even though we don't speak every day, but I know that you would call me and say, Richard, blah, blah, like when you was doing the film. Like, Richard, I think I got a role for you, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, cool, put me in, right? It's like, it's not even, you would never hear me go, yeah, so what you need to do now is just speak to my agent and blah, blah. Like, I mean, right? All right, if anything, I was just say, yeah, sort it out, and I'll talk to my...
How did you get my number?
Yeah. I didn't know you still had it, mate.
but you know, but genuinely, like, you know, I was having this conversation with someone the other day. I said, you can have a relationship with someone and you can be mates with them, but you don't have to see them every fucking day. You have to ring them every morning. No. You don't have to be in their lives every day. If you're with someone, you're with someone. And if they ring you, and you know, and it works both ways.
Yeah. No, but that's also age. You realise that at first, right? You know, you're building your foundation, and then after a while, you realise, like for instance, prime example. You know, I was in Windsor, right? You was at my gym. I never saw you. People going, he's here.
People saying to me, have you seen Richard? Richard's been in. And I'm like, well, where the f*** is he? Every time I come here,
I never called you to say, where are you? And likewise, it was just like, when I see him, right? But the whole time I was there, I was thinking that I was there for about a year or just under. And my sister's there, because my sister's had a house there for all this time. But all the time I was in the gym, I was there practically every day. And every day I'll be in there, and somebody, because obviously they want to be able to say there's somebody else that's known here. So people go, yeah, do you know Terry? I go, of course I do. It's like, yeah, he was just here. And I'm like, okay, cool, right? Hopefully one day.
We'll pump some ice.
Yeah, exactly, we'll work out, right? Do you know what I mean? I see your story, I'm like, okay, he was on that machine, right? But I didn't need to, and likewise, but we didn't need to phone each other to go, what the hell? It's just, I'll see you when I see you. Because our friendship is our friendship. You know, to them, it's like, right, that's Richard and that's Terry. But to us, it's like, we know each other, right? Do you know what I mean? And it's like, oh shit, I didn't know he was here. All right, cool. Mate, of course he's here. Because look at the area. It's a very nice area, right? That's where you're supposed to be.
We drink the tea with the little fingers out.
You know, they don't know where we came from, right? Do you know what I mean? Right? But are you up here now then?
No. So we've been, all of, our studio was in central London.
Yeah.
And then it moved out to Essex. So I'm an Essex boy twice a week.
Yeah, you fit right in, mate. No, but you're making it sound like it's deep Essex. This is nice Essex. This is not like...
When I put the wig on, though, it all changes.
Wait, mate, let me tell you something. You play that character, right? You play that character so well, right? Like, anyway, you're a good actor anyway. But you are. You play, like, I don't think those stories were told properly until you started doing it. Right? Do you know what I mean? Like, you really... because we had heard about it, right? But the way you told those stories, right? Because I've seen every single one, right? The way you told those stories, it was like you knew the characters. Does that make sense? Like you really, for the people that weren't too familiar, right? We knew them inside out from what you guys did and what you did. So I've got to give you your kudos.
Thanks for that, Richard.
Yeah.
But going back to you and from obviously like from your early days, was you born in England?
I was born here, yeah. So I was born in Clapham, but it's a good question because I lived in Sweden, right? So I was here until I was about 3. And then my mum, rest in peace. My mum was a woman who, she was a go-getter. She had me young. She had me at 17 going on 18. And she was a bit of a bad girl. But, you know, like we know women like that now that it's like, I'm just out here just doing what I'm doing, innit? Right? Like, you couldn't really tell my mum nothing, right? And the weirdest thing, you think that as older that she got, that changed. My sister and my mum had an argument one time, just to show you how my mum was gangster. My sister, Windsor, right? My mum was Streatham, South London. I don't know what my sister said to my mum. And my mum said, what? She goes, you know, I'll punch in your mouth, you know, right? So my sister's like, all right, mum, whatever. Don't think my mum never got trained.
On a train, yeah.
On a train, that's not one train, you know? You think about it. If you're
you got to get on a
you got a couple of trains. So what I'm saying is, you got time to calm down, right? My sister said, bro, my sister's a hairdresser, yeah? She's in the hairdressers in Windsor, right? This phone call's happened 2 hours ago, however long it takes to get from Streatham to Windsor. And she turns around and sees my mum go, walk in and thump her in her face in front of clients, right? And my sister did. She said she didn't even feel it. She was just like, no, you never just came from Streatham to punch me in my face. And my mum is swinging going, want me tell you? And it's like, what? What are we doing? But that was my mum. And so when my sister phoned me and told me, I said, do you know how angry mum had to be that even on one train, it never calmed her down to say, let me talk to her when I get there. No, that anger, or should I say the principle of why I've got to punch you in your face, remained. Then she had to get off the train and walk to where my sister's place was. It's not down the road. And all her sister said, she heard the door. She just thought it was a client. She turned around to see my mum just go. That was my mum, right? So she was the nutter, right? Bless her, right? But when it came to her kids, she was very fierce, like the way that your mum's supposed to be. Like, you know, when you say, I'll jump in front of a bullet, my mum would have done that for real, right?
She'd probably got a cannon on black.
Yeah, she'd be like, I got bullets as well. You think you're the only one with a gun? I'll jump in front of one, but you got to jump in front of mine. She was that. She would have been enrolling in the nights, right? Robbing the jewelry store.
So
We're
I'm
trying
not
to have a
available.
rule for you.
Biggs, I'm not available, but my mum's up for it.
My mum will rob the jewelry store. Tell her to come, man. Do 30. Yeah, no, she said she'll bring her own guns. right. But she really would have. But what it is that my mum, she moved to Sweden, right? Because her and her partner started a nightclub out there. So she brought me over. So I was out there for a few years, went to school there. And then when they broke up and it didn't work out, she had to come back and start again. So we came back to the UK. So I came back to the UK at 7 years old. And, you know, I get told this, obviously I was too young to remember. But first thing is that I didn't speak English because now I'm Swedish, right? Because I lived in Borås, which is like, it's the country part of Sweden. It's like where we are now, right? So it's not like I'm in Stockholm, right? You know, where they kind of speak English. It's like there's nobody speaking English in Borås. So I'm there and I remember, you know, kan du prata svenska? I'm now speaking Swedish and blah, blah. So I've come home and from what I was told, my dad, right, Jamaican, right, I've come home and he's seen me and he's like, what happened, son? And I go, yo, then speaking. Yeah, me. And he looked at my mum and said, you're broken him. Isn't that Jamaican anyway? In Brock. You mash him up. Right? Who speaks Swedish in the UK? Right? So I had to learn English again. So literally, I was a Swedish kid in my school. And I actually remember this. I went to my school in Tooting and all the kids were wearing their normal clothes. I came in the grey shorts, the grey socks, the hat, because that's what we thought. And I'm there going, that's where it's going. With my glasses, I got a hard time. I had to,
You got terrorised, yeah.
I had to learn comedy quick. Remember, this is the 70s. You're black and you're Swedish.
Right.
Yeah, it's a recipe for disaster.
Getting it.
You better be able to fight. Yeah, you got the black man go, right, what's your name? Oh, Richard Yard. Richard Yard, yeah? All right, Richard Yard. Right.
Was that, do you think that was when you actually started the comedy? Because you thought, I've got to actually try and
Yeah.
win people over?
Well, you know what it was, right? I came from a family that they weren't necessarily the most, what's the word I'm looking for? Sympathetic, right? You know, like, and I think it's the generation. You came up in the 70s like I did. Parents of that time had high blood pressure and zero tolerance, right? Because we got shit to do. Think about it. Real question. Do you ever remember your mum having a cold? Exactly. I'm sure it existed.
Remember the wooden spoon and the shoe?
Yeah. Your two friends. Right? The
spoon or the shoe?
Right, depending on the crime. The spoon is a white light and the shoe is when you've gone too far, right? But this is the thing. We grew up with our parents our families that were just zero tolerance, right? You speak when you're spoken to. Can you not see there's adults in the room? Until you pay bills, you keep your fucking mouth shut. That's how we grew up. So we weren't allowed to cry for too long about things, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, especially as boys. You fall out and you bust your head open with your brain showing. Your mum said, oh, go get the TCP. And she'll... Like, Mum,
there you go, you're sweet now.
Go sleep it off. Mum, I swear, I think I'm dying.
I need to cut right in.
Like your legs broke. Because we used to climb trees. So you climb, when's the last time kids climbed trees? Your mum would tell you, go climb the tree, right? The tree's not safe. You know it's not safe. But your mum said, go and climb the tree. You climb a tree, then she'll hear, ah! Right? Your legs twisted the other way. She go, come, let's rub some TCP. And just walk it off. And then you had to walk off.
TCP or fucking Lucozade that's what fixed everything.
Lucozade. People drink Lucozade now as like gym drink. That was your health drink. That was like medicine. Right? Drink some Lucozade, TCP, and go to sleep. Right? And you'll be all right in the morning. Right? Or I had parents that would say, you had something in your eye, and your mum would say, you have coal in your eye. And you go, a cold in my eye. What does that mean? Right? But they would self-diagnose you. You have coal in your eye.
No
TCP. No, because we haven't got time for doctors. We got shit to do. So because I came from a family like that, if you got cussed, or let's say you and your brother or your cousins had a fight, you couldn't cry to them, right? Do you know what I mean? Because it's like you got punched in your nose and your nose is bleeding. Your mum said, you never punch him back. You fucking idiot. So you didn't really have much room for that. So you either learned how to fight or you knew how to cuss, right? And I wasn't necessarily the best fighter. I learned to fight later on. My cousins could all fight, but I was the nice guy. I was the softer one, right? But you couldn't be too soft, right? So I had to learn how to cuss and make it seem like it's not a good idea, right? So I knew how to play the role of it's not a good idea, right? And I would never get too tested, right? Whereas all my cousins, they were like, you know, from the street to whatever, they were like tested. But I was lucky. I was the person in the middle, right? Do you know what I mean? And that was, if I think about it now, that was kind of always my role. I think if I was like my cousins, some of my cousins or my brothers, I wouldn't be on the career path I was on, right? Do you know what I mean? Because my brothers, my older brother and my younger brother, they didn't feel fear like I did, right? Like, especially my brother, love him, Marcus, my younger brother. He's calm now, he's older, right? But Marcus, when he was younger, oh gosh, right? The smallest thing, right? And he's moving to you, right? And it could be 20 man and him one, and he's like, well, then that's just what it is, right? And I'm looking at him, he's my baby brother. I'm looking at him like now he's the one that looks after me, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, I've had a man see me on the street and go, hey, Marcus, is your brother in it? I'm like, yeah. He goes, yeah, you're safe. And I'm like, you talking about that's my baby brother, right? But I know that he was official. So, but I saw it in him from when he was young. He was just a person that, you know, he played no games, even though he was the nicest person. If you see him now, he's calm. You look in his eyes and see that he's not soft, right? but he's well-mannered. Hi, how are you? He's well-mannered, blah, blah. But people that know him know that, yeah, just stay on that side.
On the right side.
Yeah, it's not a good idea to visit the other side, right? So, but as I say, with me, I was just quick-witted. I was just, and when me and my brother would speak, and I would say like, yeah, you don't really feel fear when it comes to that. And he goes, yeah, but brother, I couldn't go on stage and do what you do. So then we reached that place. He was like, bro, you can go on stage in front of 20,000 people and have that mic. He goes, I would freeze.
So to get to that point, Richard, was that a natural thing, or did the first time you do it, you fucking shit yourself, but you just sort of found in...
Well, okay, so you see, I used the parody with, let's say, the people that were more violent than myself. I now understood or understand that I got the same feeling that a fighter would get, but would still go in. Does that make sense? So a person, you're a person, you would fight and do your thing back in the day, yeah? So if somebody said to you, some of the tear-ups that you had with you and your guys, because I've heard you speak about it on here, blah, 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 yeah? And you win some, you lose some, but you knew that if some people came to your dance and it's like, all right, we've got to go out there and we've got to stick it on them, or we've got to defend our thing, you're probably looking at certain people and going, oh, it's going to be a serious one, right? But that adrenaline is what pushed you to do it. Whereas somebody else, that adrenaline it's a wall, it's a barrier. It's like, oh shit, and they scarper, right? So even though I'm not you, I know who you are to know that that thing in you was like, then we're going to fucking have it, right? Do you know what I mean?
It's that channeling the adrenaline, yeah.
Right? And in a weird sort of way, that's how your adrenaline works for you. That's, if you think about it, it's not like you have to keep psyching yourself up. You are a fight or flight. So it's like, I'm just going to get stuck in. And whereas somebody else might go, but you might die. And you go, well then, yeah, but don't worry about me. He might die. How about that, right? The same way that somebody looks at me and goes, you go on stage, they might boo. And I go, or maybe they might fucking laugh, right? So I've realized that adrenaline works for me in the way it works for fighters, right? I studied martial arts for years because I hated the fact that fighting didn't come naturally to me, right? Do you know what I mean? Because if I have a weakness, I can't allow it to remain that. That's just who I am. So when I would fight, or let's say when I'm sparring from Muay Thai to whatever I did, I realized that I also enjoy fighting, but the fear, right, still was there a little bit. But it started to diminish the more I learned how to fight and the more I understood about being in control. So I remember when I was in Liverpool, when I was living up there, and I was doing Muay Thai, and my trainer, right, he would say to me, like, he would go, you know, you fucking have it, you know. He goes, don't worry about that. You get in there, right? So I remember, because he ain't teaching you, you know, he's from Liverpool. He's not teaching you like, you know.
Did he have one of them big perm wigs?
No, he was bald. But let me tell you something, he looked like a doorman, right? Oh my God, him, right?
You don't want to get on his wrong side.
What? You just look at him and see. He's what? He's 6'4", right? And I would say he's about 16, 17 stone. He looks like a doorman, but he's a Muay Thai expert, right? Just kick your face off, right?
He'll break your legs, yeah.
Yeah, no, he would just, and he made me laugh because when he's training you, you know, when people do martial arts, they sort of adapt the style in terms of whatever country it's from, right? So if you do kung fu, they go and they start to sound a bit Chinese. He's Scouse, right? So he goes, you open up and you fucking hit him like you fucking crack his face open, and you go, I'm sure that's not a part. I'm sure they don't do that in Muay Thai. You fucking have him, you crack his fucking face, right? But he's that guy, right? Do you know what I mean? So when I was, what I did was, when I was doing Muay Thai, I remember they said, all right, spar different people, and there was this tall guy. He was about 6'6", all right? And he was just wedge. And I remember I'm looking for an opponent. I just looked at him and went, I want to fight you. And I remember he looked at me, he goes, what? I goes, you, right? Because I knew that my fear was like, this guy's going to maul me. But I know that I know enough to give this guy a good fight. And also, he doesn't realize I'm doing it to channel that adrenaline in the same way I can channel it with my stand-up, right? Because I understand what it is, right? And rather than looking at it that I'm going to get hurt the same way that I could die on stage, I look at it like, no, I'm going to win on stage the same way that you need to be worried about me, right? And so I've had to get older to understand how to wire that adrenaline thing, right? So, and I'm sparring him, and to be honest with you, it was a fair fight. Like, he caught me and I got him. And I remember when I caught him, he looked at me, and then when we finished, he was like, yeah, I like that. Because his thing is like, I don't know what the he was thinking, right? But then he understood, I knew what you was thinking. It was like, I had to fight you. Everybody else now is a piece of piss, right? Because he's the mountain in the room, right? He was the second person I sparred. And after that, and my Alex was like, I know why you did that. And I goes, yeah, because I have to find this thing, right? Because I know how to do it with stand-up. So in answer to your question, it's my brain is wired to confront the thing that I'm afraid of. And in stand-up, because I was quick-witted, every stand-up, when their name gets called, they're shitting themselves. Don't get it twisted. When you're standing at the side and the compares doing their thing and they go, anyway, from the time they say next coming to the stage, your heart does that because you know it's just you in the microphone.
It's on.
And it's on. You see your fighting skill. It's on, right? But guess what, right? The adrenaline turns into, because you're prepared, right? The same way that if you fight, you know that I can give this person a good fight. You're mentally prepared. So you go out there only thinking about your strengths. You don't think about, I could lose. You don't think that, my joke might not land, because then it won't. The same way that if you look at a guy and he goes, fucking have it, and you go, you've already lost. Right, do you know what I mean? And guess what? He's just as scared as you are, right? He's testing your gangster as much as when he goes, what? And you're like, what? And he's like, you can see it in his eyes, like, okay, right? It's like, no, I'm not backing down. So now we're both here, right? The same way with an audience, it's like, they call my name and I come and I go, yeah. The crowd go, oh shit, okay. Right, do you know what I mean? Right, but technically, if you think about it, both of them are sitting there, audience will sit there and go, make me laugh. They're saying that to you indirectly. All right, make me laugh. And you're going, I'm going to make you laugh. Now what? Right? The same way a guy goes, have it, you go, you have it. And then it's like, oh shit. It's the same principle if you think about it.
And when you started off, obviously, did you start off like the usual route? You do small comedy clubs, then build yourself up.
Yeah.
What was the thing that actually put you on the map, where people was like, this kid's got talent, we need to get him on the bigger stage?
Do you know what, right? My first show was at the Spot in Covent Garden, November 13th, 1993. I remember it well, right? So I'm in my 33rd year now.
That was my first year putting raves on.
No way.
Yes.
It's a good fucking year.
So I'm starting to put raves on, you're starting your comedy career. It's fucking unbelievable.
And hence we're here now.
Love it.
Still looking pretty, right?
Yeah, baby.
Right? Drinking water, right?
That's the secret.
That's the secret now, right? But what it is that so that was my first show. And I remember when, do you remember The Box?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
That was that the one in Soho or the one on Leicester
No,
Square?
the TV channel, The Box.
Of course.
When people call him. Okay.
Yeah.
And you would hear the man go, The Box, music, television, you control, right? It was an English comedian, right? That he did impersonations. So he brought me on stage. And I remember we were talking just before, and he goes, and I can't remember his name. I think it was Tony or Terry, like your name, something like that. But I remember he said that he does impressions, and he goes, then he did The Box. And I went, oh my, because at that time, The Box was big. And I went, that's your voice? He goes, yeah, blah, 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 right? So anyway, I remember when he brought me on stage, I'm at the side, and he goes, all right. And he's quite deadpan. He goes, coming to the stage is, I think he's funny. He's never done a show before. And his name's Richard Blackwood, make some noise for him. And that was it. And I thought, I haven't done stand-up before, but I know that's a shit intro. Like, I know that hasn't really warmed them up, right?
Cheers.
Like, yeah, all right, mate. I was just bigging you up just a second ago. I'm gonna start watching MTV, which I did, right? And I remember he brought me on, and that same feeling of adrenaline, fight or flight, was there. But I remember as I took the mic, the feeling of, you guys better buckle up, came over me, which was such a weird feeling, because remember, I had nothing to compare it to. Right. And I did my first joke, which was a Bob Marley joke that I used to do. And when I say used to do it in front of my friends. Yeah. And I did it in front of this audience, and they were rolling.
You got a do it, come on.
Well, I don't know if it will work now, but basically I used to come out and let's say Bob Marley, because you got to be careful when you talk about Bob Marley, especially back then. Right? I go, Bob Marley, Jamaican icon. I said, but here's the thing. I said, white people, you liked him as well. Right? I said, but you didn't realize Bob Marley he couldn't dance, right? And I said, like, if you watch him, he's doing his thing. And I said, and then all of a sudden he would do this kind of mad move of blah, blah, blah. You have to stand up to do it, but he would do that and he'd do all that, right? And I say, but what you didn't realize is that he's not dancing, right? I said, Jah is touching him at that moment, right? So I'd do the dance, like, right? And I'd be like, white people looking, going, what's he doing? And the black people go, Jah, am I touching him, And they go, Jah, God. He goes, oh, God, Rastafari. And that would be the joke, right? Now, it sounds shit now, but trust me, it used to work, right?
I mean, you're sitting down as well.
Yeah, sitting down. Yeah. But if you can picture it, right? But literally, every time I would do the dance and I say, Jah is touching him. And black comedians back then, sounds crazy, were a bit afraid to do impressions of white people. Right, it was, and not a fear that white people made them feel. It's a fear that black people wouldn't find it funny. It was a weird thing. So I'd go, yeah, Jah Rastafari, right? And then the crowd would laugh, and I'd be like, And then a comedian friend of mine said, you should do like the white Cockney voice, because there used to be a guy in my college that I used to mimic. I go, no, but I don't think black people will find it funny. And he goes, what are you talking about? He goes, you think we don't know white people? but believe it or not, it was a real thing. You thought that you had to remain black in everything that you said, right? And I remember the first time, I'm one of the first comedians to ever go, you fucking come on in, you on stage, right? Like, no, historically, like comedians do it now all the time. But if you go back historically, right, like in terms of a stand-up, I was the first stand-up, right, to mimic the white guy walking, going, come on, and you're on the edge saying you kept, like, they weren't doing it in stand-up, right? And I was kind of known for that. That was my gimmick, that I'd come on stage and I'll do the white man. To this day, I do it. And I go, he will open up, you know what I mean? And it's like, he's skinny, but he opened up like, you what? Like, right? I mean, right? And now it's funny, but trust me, back then, I'm talking about 93, right? Comedians were a bit nervous to do it. And then all of a sudden, black people would be like, do the white man, right? And I'd be like, who you fucking talking to, right? I mean,
you know, you're stereotyping us. We don't all speak like that, you know.
Really? Do you not? You see the finger? Do you not really? It's gone off. There's nothing to show. See, even that went off. There's nothing to show here. Even that went. I mean, I'm offended, Rich. Fucking offended.
I can't believe, do you know something? I can't believe you've even offended the telly. That's the woke environment that we're in, Richard.
No, your TV is like, first of all, is in fucking Southend. Doing white jokes. We're not having it. Terry, I don't know about you, but I'm switching off. All right? Tell him he's got to learn some fucking manners. I can't believe on my punchline, your screen said, there's nothing to see here. It actually said, there's nothing to see here. Do you know how disrespectful that's its own default setting.
I mean, you can't make this up, right?
Like, even the cursor's there, like it doesn't trust me. Like, one more fucking white joke, mate. All right? You're out of here. You've got a long drive home, that's all I'm saying, and I know where you parked. That's what I'm saying. White people don't play no games. They've even now got their computer systems to work out black man on the show. One joke, mate, in this woke society, you can right off. Return.
But, I mean, talking about, see, I've always thought comedy, whether it's white people, black people, Jewish people, Indian people taking the piss out of each other, I actually think it's fun. It's meant to be embraced. You know, people get offended and upset by it, but for me, it's always been like, if you tell me a white joke, I laugh. If I tell you a black joke, you laugh. You don't go, oh my God, I can't believe you said that.
We're from a different stock, though. Like, Terry, you got to understand. We're 70s kids. 70s kids, we were racist, but we were still best friends. Like, it sounds silly because, remember, you know, we learnt our differences from our parents, who probably were prejudiced because they grew up in a different time.
They didn't. I think I was having this conversation with someone the other day, and they was going, I can't believe, like, when you put the telly on, how fucking racist it was, like, and how bad it was. But the thing is, like, if you went to Russia, right? Yeah. And it's a white country, or you went to Africa, which is majority black country, right? If you go to any of these places, and then obviously you're not that particular colour, or you speak that particular language, all of a sudden you're the outsider, so you're going to get, you're the weirdo, you're the oddball. And the parents are like, who the fuck's that? We don't want that English kid in here. He's fucking no good.
I got it when I was black and Swedish. I can't remember. I was black and I'm already dealing with racism, right? But at least it was decent racism from white people. Then I came back and black people were like, hold on, he's not one of us. You can keep him a white people, but he's not one of us. He looks like you. Like for a while there, I was trying to fit in. Swedish didn't want me, right? But it's because we grew up in a time, as I say, when I make jokes and, we were laughing about the zero tolerance from our parents and it was a different period. You had to be thick-skinned. So that was our default setting. So, like, I'll give you a prime example. Blazing Saddles, you remember the film Blazing Saddles? You can't show that to somebody now, right? Because they will be offended now, right? Do you know what I mean? I'm talking like black people go, hold on a minute, did it? But they wouldn't get it that the things that we would laugh at that were really funny because we weren't afraid to call it what it was back then. So even when I used to do, for instance, when I used to do my white guy joke, I'll give you a prime example, right? I did a joke once on the Richard Blackwood show. So my first discovery, going back to your original question, was when I did The Real McCoy, which is 1995, and then it snowballed.
Robbie G.
There you go.
Yeah.
Robbie G also was in Rolling in with the Nines, yeah, right? So I remember now, I got the Richard Blackwood show off the back of MTV, and it was kind of, besides Lenny Henry, it was the first of its kind where you got this young black guy who's unapologetically black, right? And what I mean by that is that, and this is not a knock on anybody out there who's black, because black people know this already, but it's not spoken of. And I do it sometimes even in my stand-up tour, and I say, when I see, like, I got an audience and I have an audience of white, black, indifferent, doesn't matter. And you know me, and you know that my style of humor comes from a black persuasive, but I just know how to speak to everyone, right? So what I mean by that is that you wouldn't, when we were younger, you would say there's a black guy, but he's whiteified. And what that means, he grew up in a more white area, so his jargon and everything, he sounds like he's white in a black person's body, right? And then you got someone like myself who's well-spoken. You could tell I grew up in the streets of South London, right? But my voice cuts through, it's neutral, right? But you could hear that he's influenced by his black upbringing, right? But it's neutral, right? So I can do the Cockney and blah, blah, blah. I can go to the man them, blah, blah, blah. I can be articulate. I can do all those things because that's my natural default set, is that I'm neutral, right? But I'm very proud of my black culture, right? Within the UK, yeah? Because that's it. The other thing as well is that being black in the UK, once you're born here, black, Asian, I don't care who you are, once you're born here, we're British and we're very proud,
100%.
right? We're very proud of being British. And the only time that we feel a little bit perturbed is when we don't feel like we're accepted, when it's like, I was born here, I was born in Clapham, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, I've got parents that are Jamaican, but that'd be the same as if you're white and you've got parents that are Scottish.
Or French.
Or French, exactly, right? Exactly. But you see, but you're born here. So yes, maybe my parents are French, and maybe when I go home, I can speak French with my parents, but they look at me and they go, when I say I'm French, they go, no, you're not. You're British because you were born here. The same way that with us being black and born here, trust and believe, we, as much as we try to put on our Jamaican accents when we go home, our parents look at us and say, they're looking at us like we're weird. So they might be talking Jamaican like, boy, me tell him. And then we might get a bit excited and go, yeah, minor. And they look at you and go, minor? Minor? What is English?
That's not English. Yeah. What paying that money for you?
Exactly.
Like school for?
Exactly. You go to school, speak English, right? That's not Jamaican, right? So you get reminded that even though you are of Jamaican descent, you're here, you're born here, and you're British. And also, it's something you should be proud of because it's your country, right? Do you know what I mean? You've paid your dues. You come up like everybody else. And so as I say, so then moving forward, I remember I told this joke, right? And there was a girl that I dated, right? A white girl that I dated, but we just remained friends. And she called me up, and I'll never forget it. And if she's watching, she will remember this. And she goes, Richard, oh my God, watching you on the Richard Blackwood show, and me and my friends had an argument about you, and they were saying you're racist, right? So I said, oh, why would they say that? Oh, you know that joke you did about white people. So I said, now I knew exactly what she was talking about, but my thing is like, no, I would like you to tell me what the joke was, right? And she goes, you know that, oh, Richard, come on, stop being silly. You know that joke about white people, they were saying you're racist. I'm saying he's not. I dated him, he's a lovely. I go, no. I said, I want you
He had
to tell.
sex with me. How can he be racist?
Exactly. Like, that's hard. I never understood that when people say, I'm not right. How can I be racist? I've slept with black people. And it's like, white people used to sleep with their slaves. Right? They still didn't like them. You still had to then get whipped afterwards, right? And pick the cotton. But I'm saying to her that I said, no, I want you to tell me the joke. So anyway, she goes, Richard, you know the joke? Because she wouldn't tell me it. I said, okay, let me tell you the joke. Right? I said the joke was that white people were deemed that they didn't know how to dance. That was the stereotype, that they didn't have rhythm. I said,
no white people I know can dance unless they've been to fucking Pullman school or fucking dance school.
Oh no, but now the new generation. The new generation of white now. Your generation has to pay for it. Oh my God, you got it now, and you think who are these guys? They're not white, really.
They're doing the moonwalk, the running man.
They're doing Uzuntu, like they're different now, right? But I tell you this, right? So in this joke, I said that this was now the jungle raves and all that, yeah, right? And you know the house music and blah blah blah. So I said it's really weird. I said white people are the ones that they supposedly can't dance. I said, but when drum and bass and all that came out, they were doing, you know, that dance they was doing back then. I said, black people couldn't dance to that. We didn't know what the fuck was going on, all right? And I said, so we were confused. And I said, and white people will come up to us and go, do you need some help there, mate? Right? So that's the joke. The joke is that white people had to show us how to dance to it, right? So the joke was actually on black people, right? So when I said it to her, I said, you know, the joke was on black people that, we can't dance. White people had to teach us how to dance to jungle music, right? So I said, so the joke's on me, right? I said, but what you heard was me say white. And once you heard white, you didn't realize, but that person in you was like, hold on, hello, you're not allowed to say that, right? And I said, and that is what we're still, sometimes as black people, that we're dealing with, and why we're afraid to say certain things, because you've got certain white people that, even though they don't know it, but innately they look at certain black people like, you're still below me. Because in that moment, even though she was like, but Richard, you and I dated, I goes, but you still looked at, I said, I could have a dog, but that dog can't lay in my bed, because it's still a dog, right? You know what I mean? But I'll stroke it, but let it jump on the bed. I'm like, hey, right. You're a dog, you stay on the floor, right? I said, so you can still have those feelings of seniority over somebody, but still look at them like, but I still like you, right? So, but these are the things the challenges that I had to face and then break that mold, where now it's gone, but people find new reasons to be upset.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? So to come full circle, people now, they're not thick-skinned, but when you actually challenge them on what it is they're upset about, it's something so minuscule. And I do this thing in my stand-up where I say, you guys could not have lived in the 70s and 80s. You would not have lasted. If you could go back in a DeLorean, right, back to 1985 when we were teenagers.
You find yourself with buildings, didn't you? Well, you wouldn't be a comfort. You go, I've got to get out of here.
Mate, listen, I do these jokes and I say, listen, climbing frames in schools now have nice rubber mats that underneath. So if you accidentally fall, you just bounce and get the fuck up and walk in with your dad. I said, back in the day, it was concrete. I said, and we would hang upside down with just the heel of our feet, and we're swinging, right? And the teacher would go, be careful, and then carry on talking. They wouldn't even go, get down. They go, be careful, Tim, right? He's gonna fall, right? And you would hear, hence, that every single one of us has got a scar on our face, on our knee, a gash that hasn't healed quite right because of the TCP. It hasn't healed quite right.
And the Lucozade.
And go and sleep it off. Right. One eye is literally leaning this, because we had to learn real quick. Listen, a friend of mine fell from a tree, and the tree went right through the leg, right? 8 stitches the next day, he's back at school, right? Because it was just, and I say, you guys, you couldn't have lived. We had stone fights. Do you remember being in school and stones, right? And literally your friends over there, and you're throwing stones at each other. You're getting small rocks. Right? And you would hear somebody go, I got you. I go and see the doctor, he's out of the game. But everybody else keeps playing. But he just got a stone in his head, right? He's going to see the teacher, and the teacher goes, what happened? They threw stones at me. She goes, oh, you silly. And that was it. And it's like, let a child now tell you that I had stone fights at school. You're going to the school and saying, I don't know if my son or my daughter could attend this school because they're having fucking stone fights. I don't pay for stone fights, but that was our daily.
Yeah. I think one of the big things that really did bring the country together, which it's a shame that it feels like everything progressed really well.
Yes.
And then it fucking fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
And was the birth of the rave scene. Because when the rave scene kicked off, it didn't matter if you was rich, poor, Muslim, black, white, Chinese, Indian, everyone was together, everyone's your mate. We were all one. Do you know what I mean?
Mate, that is so true.
And that, for me, like when I was, bear in mind, I started promoting in '93. And if you was if you was doing this diversity, equality, inclusion thing now, and you went, oh, well, let's see, what Terry's doing, I'd be getting like 5 stars.
Yeah, you would.
Because I didn't hire anybody on their colour or their race or their fucking religion or their age. It was literally like, can you do the fucking job better than anyone else? You're fucking hired. I don't give a what colour, what religion. I just wanted the best person for the job. And then everybody integrated. Everyone was going out, and everyone's going, well, actually, we're all the fucking same. You know what I mean? You might be Jewish, I might be fucking Muslim, you might be Indian, I might be fucking Chinese, but it don't matter. We're all having a good time.
And I think that pissed somebody off. If you think about it, I think that pissed people off. I think
it must have done.
Somebody up there, it pissed them off because it's so weird that you said that. I didn't mean to cut you, by the way, but it's so weird that you said that because I've always said that music, and you're right, for us, the British scene, the rave time, that when you used to go to those big parties, I'm talking like, where wherever you would hold these big raves, it wasn't just one set of people that were there, right? Everybody was there, and the music, when the drop would come in, everybody felt the drop at the same time. It was like, that was the bit they was waiting for, whatever the tune was, right? And I would say jungle, right? All that kind of stuff, the way that it merged everybody together, right? Then you had the people at MC and blah, 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 right? If you could MC, and back then MC was less mini, it wasn't even like...
Hands in the air.
Hands on the ones and twos. Ones and twos. If you had ones and twos in your bars, you were here on the ones and twos, on the threes and fours. I remember I did a stand-up joke where this is before MCs were literally doing lyrics, and they was doing on the ones and twos. And I shit you not, Terry, I'm not making this up. These two guys were battling, and they were just counting to 10, right? And wherever the last person left off, the other person, on the threes and fours, well, on the fives and sixes. And I was like, so whoever gets to 10 wins, because like, whoever started this is gonna win, right? But literally, right, it was, you had white MCs, you had black MCs, like everybody was doing their things because music was just that thing, that forum that made everybody feel inclusive. And I think now, it feels like it started to segregate again in a weird sort of way.
I think that what the scene did, it meant that, like, as a white person, if you wanted to listen to black music, or you wanted to wear the black clothes, or you wanted to embrace the black culture, you could do it without people going, oh, look at him, what a fucking prick.
Yes.
And if you were black and you wanted to embrace the white clothes, so what you touched on earlier, but I actually think that it give everyone permission that we can all integrate, we can all have a laugh. You might eat different food to me, or you might wear different clothes to me, but I want to wear your clothes.
Yeah.
You can come around my house and meet my mum and dad.
I'm
going to date you.
Yeah.
And my mum and dad ain't going to go, why are you dating her? Whereas in the 70s, but you ain't bringing her in the house, or you ain't bringing him in the house. But now, it's like, so what?
So what?
Right?
So what?
But what's happening now, and I think this woke stuff I don't think it's good. I think what it's done, it's actually made everybody go, oh, what about this? What about that? And oh, you're racist and you don't like me. And it's all this bollocks. And I genuinely think, like, the rave scene was so progressive for the country, and I think everything was going in such a great direction.
It really was.
And then
I agree with
after COVID, it was like the woke varieties come in, and like, you can't say anything, you can't think. If you say anything, you're either far right or you're racist or you're whatever.
But you know what's messed up about that?
Madness.
Sorry, you know what's messed up about that is that even the term woke, they've taken the term woke and they've misused it. Woke didn't mean what it means now.
That meant you was awake.
It just means you was awake. And that's the weirdest thing. Like, but in all seriousness, right, woke just meant that you understood that everybody mattered. Right, that's all it was. It was like, and now there's such a stigma because it's like anything. When something is like, okay, I'll give you a prime example. When people said, when the statement Black Lives Matter came out, everybody understood that it was Black Lives Matter also. But somebody had to go too far. Oh, so that means that white lives don't matter. And it's like, that's a cheap kind of jab at what we're talking about. And you know it is. But for some reason, all of a sudden, it stuck. So then if you remember when the George Floyd thing happened, and it's like Black Lives Matter, then you had certain white people go, so what about us? And it was like, and you found yourself in the infant class going, are you really being serious? Like, you know that we're not saying that you don't matter. You've always mattered. What we're saying is, guess what? We matter too. We just want to be equal like you. Now, you know that's what I'm saying, but instead of you just going, it's true, you should matter as well, you want to rob us of the fact that we're just trying to be equal and say, so what about us? So now, if you think about it, if you go back to that time, I remember there was this white lady, American lady, did a video and it went viral, but I don't think it went viral enough. But this is to show you about the woke thing and how it goes too far. She was explaining the Black Lives Matter thing. So she was playing different characters. So she was like, there's a house on fire, right? There's a big house on fire. And it's like, oh, okay. So where are you all going? We're all going to put out the fire because, this house is on fire. And the white girl goes, what about my house? And she goes, but your house is not on fire. We're going to put, and she goes, yeah, but you're going past my house. And she goes, yeah, but your house is not on fire. We're trying to put out that fire. And she goes, yeah, so what, my house doesn't matter. And she goes, you're not listening to yourself. Your house is not on fire, right? So, and she was trying to say, white people, you're not being discriminated because of your color. So you don't have to worry, right? So you don't need to, nothing's been taken away from you by acknowledging that they should matter too, right? And then, so now, and that's where the woke thing started to get a bit absurd, where people would take an argument and then throw it this left curveball, and everybody would be so focused on there and saying, oh, you're woke. So they'll say, oh, if a film's got a black woman in it now, oh, you're trying to be woke. And it's like, or maybe the character could be black too. Right? You know what I'm saying? Right? And so coming from what you're saying, when we were merging with music, you never heard black people say to white people, why are you trying to MC now?
Come in, boys.
Yeah, come in and do your thing.
Come in.
Right?
Girls, boys, whatever.
Exactly, right? But that's the equivalent of what it would have been if the mentality was allowed back then, i.e., oh, you're woke, right? So if a white MC came out and doing their thing back in the day and it's like, oh, look at you trying to be woke, trying to be like us. It's like, no, I just like the music like you. Can I not be a part of it? You see, you're trying to be, or a white person say, oh, you want to be a part of black music, you're trying to be woke. And it's like, but I like the music. Can I not just like it?
I think everybody accepted everybody. It didn't matter. It didn't matter if he was rich, poor. It didn't matter. Everyone was just like, look, we're all here, we're all having a good time.
Yeah.
We're all mates. Whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember, as you're bringing up the Black Lives Matter thing, I thought what Kanye West did when he walked out and he had that T-shirt on, and literally, I mean, everyone went up into uproar about it. Didn't they?
Yeah. Well, we said what White Lives Matter.
Yeah,
that one.
and it was like, well, he was just basically making a joke.
Yeah,
but it was obviously at the wrong time.
Definitely the wrong time.
But that woman who, what's her name? I can't remember her name. The woman who set up the charitable.
Oh
thing.
yeah. I know who you're talking about.
And I don't know if you saw what happened with that. But she obviously everyone was like putting money in because they was all thinking, oh,
and she was stealing it.
Affect a fucking change.
Yeah,
and she's going off buying houses.
You see, that is
terrible.
No, but this is okay, and that's what I mean, right? I'm glad we were speaking on this, but that's why, I say,
because the thing is, it's like, and I've always been an advocate for change. I've always been an advocate for integration and people just getting on. But I think obviously what she did. Really did let everybody down.
Oh my God,
like,
because now the Black Lives, the BLM is now seen as a movement that you shouldn't be a part of. Where it wasn't a movement, we was just saying that black people matter also, right? And the weirdest thing, even though I'm saying that, somebody will watch this and still try and find a reason to say, oh look, you're trying to segregate. And it's like, no, the word "to," right? Or also.
Do you know what I did? I've got to share this with you. This made me laugh, right? So when this Black Lives Matter thing come out and everyone was obviously promoting it, and then there was people going, oh, well, white lives matter. What about the white people? What about the Indian people? What about this? What about that? One of my funniest posts that I saw was there was, it looked like a black and white thing, and it just said, no lives matter. You're all
How about that?
It made me laugh.
How about that?
And I just thought, that is so funny.
No, but
right?
this is
but the reality is, right, all lives matter.
All lives matter.
100%.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
but that's why I say that woman, what she did, she really destroyed because when people so like when a set of people are coming together, yeah, you're always going to get somebody going, that's going to go wrong. And it's because they want it to go wrong. So let's say, for instance, back in the day when interracial dating was a bit more of a thing, yeah, when you had to face your mum saying, you're going to bring her in the house or you're going to bring him in the house. You knew that if, let's say you was the black guy going out with the white woman, you knew that her parents are waiting for me to fuck up, right? So I can't afford to fuck up. Not just because I love this woman, but I also know there's a stigma that she's dealing with. Like if you think about, like there was so many interracial couples that maybe they're older now. Right. And if you was to ask them what it was like for them when they were coming up and they had to say to their parents, this is my boyfriend, this is my girlfriend. And they knew the unsaid thing was, you can't fuck up because my parents are waiting for that, right? They're waiting to go, you see, you choose a white girl, or you see, you chose that black guy, blah, 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 right? So, and guess what? If one of them did mess up, right? Or let's say one of them was a bad apple, and it was just that person was a bad apple, right? You knew that spoke because everybody in the area said, yeah, you went out with that white girl and look what she did. She was sleeping with everybody, told you about those white girls. And it's like, no, she was just the slag, right?
100%,
right?
100%.
But that's what's happened is that it's gone so far now that when you're a person that you just want to get along with everybody, right? They're going, yeah, but you'll see what happens when you do it. And you go, but so in that case of that woman was just a bad apple. Right?
Listen, there's good and bad people all around the world.
Exactly.
In any country, in any fucking... And the thing is, unfortunately, it's normally a small minority, right, that fuck it up for the majority.
Everybody. For everybody. And but with all that being said, I'm not going to stir you off because I know we've got other questions and stuff. But one of the things I will say is that, but the UK, in terms of the countries, probably one of the best countries you can live in, right? And and I might get penalized for saying that. Certain black people say, we are talking about, right? But if you think about the UK and how we have so many people from white to black to Asian, right? And generally speaking, we do get along, right? Right? Like, yes, you might have...
There's little pockets of people that don't, but the majority
do,
care.
Right? It's not like, because if you think about, look at what we're seeing in America right now as we speak, right? Do you know what I mean? And no matter what, we don't face that. We don't need to worry about somebody come up to you and knocking your door and saying, where were you originally born? You got to come with, like, those things, we look at that and we go, we're watching it on TV going, shit, that's really happening, right? When we was coming up in the 70s, I definitely experienced racism in the 70s. But I think it's safe to say, after the 80s, early 90s, I can't tell you the last time that I experienced in-your-face racism. Like, yes, you get people that have their stereotypical views, but the reason why I don't pay it no mind is that I grew up when you was called the N-word for real, where skinheads were chasing you for real. I grew up in that era, right? Which is why you would never, as a black man, you'd never hear me use the N-word because I remember being called that while being chased by skinheads, yeah? In Clapham, right? It weren't even like in Sutton, in Clapham, right? I went to school in Sutton, right? So, when you was in school in Sutton and Rose Hill in the 70s and in the 80s.
Rose Hill was a rough old place.
Oh, mate, my school was on Rose Hill, right? I went to Garth High School. Anybody knows Garth High School was on Rose Hill, right? You went to school round there, Sutton, Carl Shorten, right? I went Carl Shorten College. Those areas back then, if you didn't get on the bus, you see, like it's dark, it's winter time. If you didn't get on the bus, right, when you're supposed to, and let's say you stayed around for a while, you might not make it home, right? So because I came up in that time, I've seen the change. Somebody said to me, do you think there's that there's a lot more black people on TV in the UK? And I say, compared to when I was growing up, hell yeah, right? It's not going to happen overnight, but we live in a country where you're seeing us in places that you never saw us before, right? When you're of the age to remember that in your school you probably had one or two mixed race kids.
Yeah, there was maybe one Indian one Chinese, maybe one black guy, and that was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
Right. Now, it's nothing. Now, you don't even know what color a person is because they're mixed with all different. You have to say to a person, "What, are you kind of Indian?" They go, "No, I'm mixed or with this and that." Because now everybody, especially over here, everybody's connecting. But when we were growing up, only 30, 40 years ago, right, when I went to school, there was Caribbeans, but there was one African kid, right? His name was Kojo, one of my best friends, right? He was the only African person in the whole school, right? Do you know what I mean? Right? And he had to represent Africa when he's getting prejudice from Caribbeans because even though he was black, you're different to us. Right. So he had to hold it down for his people. Now, he'd probably look and laugh and go, Africans are in every part now, but back then, you was one, right? There was a mixed race girl called Julie. She probably watched this and go, oh my God, you remember my name, right? We didn't know each other that well, but she lived down the road from me in Streatham, right? On Southcroft Road, right? Julie was the only mixed race girl in that area.
Right.
In that area. We're going from Tooting to Streatham. Right. Julie was the only mixed race person that we knew, right? Back in the early 80s. Now, it's nothing. So this is what I'm trying to say. We have connected in such a way, and then we look at certain countries, just look at other countries in Europe, just Europe, and tell me if there's a same sort of merge like there is in the UK. Go to Russia, right? No. go to Poland. All these countries. These are neighbouring countries.
Yeah, I think the UK and the US have got it right. If you look at the US, it is a multicultural place.
It is.
If you look at the UK, it's a multicultural place, and for me, if you look at the religions, if you look at, the different, this is a melting pot for so many places, so many people want to be here.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
And why?
Yeah, exactly. And I think
why they want to be here is obviously doing something right.
I think we're even more connected than America is, to be fair. But America, yes. But if you think about the UK, now I'm older. When I was younger, everybody used to say, oh, I want to live in America. I want to live here and there. I want to go back to Jamaica, blah, blah. And then I got older. I was like, no, I'm good. Right? Yeah. Like the UK, I'm fine. Don't get me wrong. I love visiting other countries, and there are other countries that I would have in my top 5, right? But in terms of my history growing up and seeing how far we've come as a nation, I don't think we're doing too bad.
What are your top 5 places to go, Rich? If you had a ticket now and something, you go your 5 favourite places in the world.
In the world, I number 1 would be Jamaica, only because it's like home. Even though I haven't been Jamaican 20 plus years. So Jamaicans go, it's not really your home, right? But Jamaica, I do love Thailand, right? And not for the reason that other guys go there, right?
No, I was in South the ping pong show's amazing.
Hey,
I've never been to Thailand. So.
No, Thailand is lovely, right? You know where I went once? And I had the best time, but I don't know what it's like now. Hawaii.
Right. Have you ever been there? That's going to be amazing as well.
Hawaii. I went to Hawaii when Hawaii was Dubai. like Hawaii was the place that everybody went, or the Maldives. Right. Hawaii was that when I went. I went in I went 96, right? And I'd heard about Hawaii, and I watched Hawaii 5-0 as a kid, blah, blah. And I went Waikiki Beach, and I'm not going to lie, it didn't let me down. It was amazing. Certain parts of America I love. Well, America I generally love anyway, but I love New York and I love LA, right? I've been to other parts and it was nice, but those two.
I thought you'd been all over Vegas as well.
Okay, so I went to Vegas, right? But Vegas, see, I don't gamble, right? So Vegas, even though I enjoyed it, because if you think, you've been Vegas, yeah? So Vegas is just one long road, really. If you think about it, like it's got your little pockets, but generally speaking, Vegas is a long strip, the main strip that you'd be on, right? With all the hotels either side of the road, and every hotel has its different feature. And so you spend your time going, I want to go in there and see what's in there. Like you might go and see a mix between a lion and a tiger, right? Or you stay in, I stayed in, what was the hotel, the Italian one?
Kojo?
The one where it's got the...
fountains.
No, you got the canal in the middle.
Venetian.
The Venetian, I stayed at the Venetian, yeah, right? So after a few days of being there, you kind of realize that, okay, that's what it is. You've got MGM up the road, blah, blah, and you literally just cross the road and go into different hotels. And then if you want, because every hotel has got the gambling spot, you gamble, but because I weren't into gambling, Vegas for me is a place that you don't need to spend more than a week. right? You've seen it all, right? A long weekend, you've seen it all. But I did have a good time. And you know another place? Hong Kong.
Right, not been there either.
You never been to Hong Kong? Right, Hong Kong is nice, right? Tell you a story though. So I went to Hong Kong, right? And Hong Kong, you go and get your gadgets, yeah? So I was into martial arts, so I went there for that. But I went to where Bruce Lee's grave was and everything and whatever, right? But I remember, or the grave in Hong Kong, because he's got another one in San Francisco, I think it is. But I remember I bought these gadgets, and at the time, they had a camcorders with the viewfinder, which wasn't out then, right? They had it where you could see it, and I was like, back in the day, we had those cameras. All of a sudden, they got this one, and I remember I've got this green one, right? And it opens like that. So I bought a couple of these cameras. I bought one of them Game Boy things that hadn't come out yet. Terry, I shit you not, right? I had the game thing in my hand. I carried that on the plane because it's like, I'm going to play that, right? Packed away all these different things. A friend of mine, right, called Susan, right? She said, oh, I'll give you money and you buy me one of the camcorders. And I was like, yeah, she went to MTV. It's like, I said, yeah, I'll get you one, blah, blah. Got back to the UK, right? And she was like, have you got the camera? I said, listen, I'm unpacking right now. When I opened the suitcase, everything was the same way, right? When I picked up the boxes, all empty. They stole every gadget at the airport, but packed it back the way that it was. Like literally the way I remember, you know, you photographically remember how you pack things. I opened it and I'm going like this. And I picked up the box and it was so light, it floated, right? It didn't even fucking come back down. Like I literally went, right? And I went, you know when you go, I go, no. Open that one, is empty. And I was afraid, I was like, there's about 5 boxes. I went, no. Every box was empty, just instructions, right? They stole, so that was my bad time. Now, if I was today's society, I'd be thinking, oh, that means Hong Kong's terrible. It's like, no, just some bad apple stole something out of my suitcase, right? Do you know what I mean? But then I found out that that's a thing you have to be very mindful of because they know that as a tourist, you're coming to buy gadgets.
I suppose the thing is to carry me a fucking carry-on bag.
Mate, bruv, I literally, no, if I didn't have the one in my hand playing the game at the time, and I was playing Metal Gear Solid, I'd never forget, I was playing Metal Gear Solid, but it was, normally Metal Gear Solid's on the big computer, it was on this little thing, right? And I was playing it on the flight, and when I came back, it's the only thing I got back from Hong Kong. Yeah, but, and the last country I would say is Dubai.
Oh, Dubai's good.
Yeah, what about you?
Dubai, Vegas, Marbella, and anywhere in Greece.
Marbella. So a lot of people are buying houses out there, I'm seeing, right? Like I was watching YouTube the other night, and they got some lovely places out there. I can see why people, because I don't think, I'm sure I have.
It's worth going down there just for a week in the summer because it's a nice place. There's some good restaurants.
Yeah?
Good clubs.
Would you buy a place out there?
Probably not now because they've changed all the rules. And I think if I was going to buy somewhere, it'd probably be in Dubai. Dubai
is really coming up.
Only because over there's no inheritance tax. In Spain, if you start dying, they take fucking tax. If you haven't done a will properly, it's so complex.
Okay.
And they're not as amicable to. Like if you turned up and said, "I want to buy a house. I want to live in Spain," it's like there's a load of fucking hoops to jump through. If you went to Dubai,
really?
they're like, "Just sign that.
Yeah.
Give us some money."
Yeah.
Come in.
Yeah. No, I do like Dubai. Dubai, it's so weird because I watched Dubai grow. You know, like when you first go to Dubai and you go from Abu Dhabi and you're driving into Dubai and it's just desert. And then I remember when I first got there, I was doing stand-up out there and I saw buildings in just desert and building and desert. And then I went a couple of years later and then where there was desert, there's more buildings. And then the last time I went, I was like, I actually saw this place be nothing, right? Like, is it the American Mall? The main mall. Is it the Dubai Mall?
Yeah.
That was the only mall that was there when I first went to Dubai. Right now, you've got several, but back then, imagine. So you know how far back that was. That was the only mall, and even then, not all the shops are open.
So I'm gonna tell you a story to make you fucking ill, right? This is for all the viewers and listeners as well. My friend went over there, and when they were building the Palm.
Yeah.
He went, do you know what? I wouldn't mind living here. And he goes, I'm going to buy one of these mansions off plan for 300 grand. So he put down like 10 grand or whatever it was. And then he did a payment plan until it was built. And then he moved into it. And then he came back to England. He sold it. I think about just before Christmas for 25 million.
25 million.
Yeah. So when you hear stories like that, you wish you'd have fucking got in then.
I think that's just hurt my heart. And the thing is, I'm 54 soon. I can't fuck around and get these.
I mean, listen, you could go and buy a house there now, and it probably still will go up. But the days of it going from, it's a little bit like if you'd have bought a fucking 3-bedroom house in fucking Mayfair in the 80s. You know, you probably picked it up for like 200 grand.
Where's a DeLorean when you need it? You just need a DeLorean, mate.
Mate, if we get one, I'll be on the phone. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
no, please. Yeah. I'm even if it's not tried and tested, I'm gonna give it.
And obviously we've obviously gone off and diversified into a few subject matters.
Yeah.
But coming back to you, obviously you've done your Richard Blackwood show.
Yeah.
When did you actually start acting? What was your first actual acting gig?
It's a good question, actually. So I did, because I never went to acting school. I never did none of that.
You was a performer though. I mean, you didn't really need to, did you?
Well, here's the thing. I appreciate that, but I learned on the job. But my first proper acting gig was a series called Ed Stone is Dead, which was 2002. Which my claim to fame is that Daniel Kaluuya, right? He said he used to watch that when he was coming up, and it inspired him. And I was like, well, then I've made it, right? But Ed Stone is Dead. When you're successful, they throw things at you, right? You know, anybody that's a budding entertainer that's coming up, as soon as you arrive on that floor, they know that your name equates to money. So now they start off, you don't need to audition for things. Now they give you things. And I remember, so this is height of Richard Blackwood's show, MTV, I was having all this success, and they had written a sitcom for me, which was Ed Stone is Dead for BBC. But I never really had no acting experience.
Right.
And it really showed because I'm on the show and I'm doing scenes, and bless, I've got a good friend who is very successful called Daniel Brocklebank, right? And Daniel was in, is it Emmerdale Farm? He did for years, right? But Daniel and I met back then, 20 odd years ago on that show. And I had a bit of a hard time on that because some of the actors, they remain nameless because some of them are successful now. They gave me a bit of a hard time because I didn't come from that acting background. So they were a bit sort of cliquey and they kind of pushed me out a bit, even though it's my name, it's my show, right? But they kind of all stuck together but him and there was an American girl, right? But them two were by my side because they could see what they were doing and they didn't like it. They were like, no, they're treating you bad because you're not a horrible person, but it's because you don't come from that acting background that they kind of...
What they should have done, and I've experienced this as well, is when somebody comes on set and you can see as an actor that they're struggling or that they're not hitting the marks or they need a bit of help, what they should have done is put it on me and gone, Rich, listen, you know when you're doing that, mate, just slow down a bit there.
Yeah.
Try this.
Yeah.
Relax. It's no fucking pressure.
Yeah.
Instead of just being a coach. And I've had both. I've had people help me and I've had people act cunts around me, like them people. But
no,
again, you know,
let me tell you something.
Forget,
nobody can say the word more better than white people, right? No. Sorry,
you said it really well earlier.
I said it earlier, but I've been around a lot of white friends, right? But because white people say in an endearing way, and also if it's a hurtful way. So they would go, look, you funny, right? Or you king. But any which way, black people, we can't say it as well as you. It's you could say it where it doesn't even sound like you're swearing. Like you don't even need to go boop. It's just you actually want to hear it, right? It's something rhythmic to it, right? But I tell you what's really weird about what you just said. So as I say, a few of them were arseholes to me, and it's all right. We moved on. In actual fact, one of them I saw him, and I won't say his name only because I respect him, and he apologized. I saw him at one of the NTAs, and he pulled me aside. He goes, Richard, he goes, you know, I'm really sorry, innit? And this is years before. I saw him in the NTAs maybe about 4 years ago, right? And I looked at him, right? And I went, it's cool, right? Because he goes, nah. He goes, but I've got to let you know that I'm really sorry. He goes, I was young, I was stupid. And I goes, but I respect, because we never spoke about it. It nearly got on top, right? Back then, right? It nearly really got on top, right? Because they were treating me so bad and he was playing my best friend in it, right? But he was horrible to me. And I remember it was so noticeable that at first I thought I was going mad. And then I said to somebody, tomorrow when I come on set, if he does it again, I'm just going to hit him, right? And I'm willing to throw it all away, right? And my agent at the time, Bev, said, I know you're going to. I said, no. I said, I'm just letting you know. If he looks at me funny, I said, I'm just going to punch him in his face and we're just going to scrap right there and then, right? I don't know if the word got to him or if he just felt it, but he didn't do it that day. But then we went our separate ways after that. So as I say, there was a bad taste. So as I say, I saw him at the NTAs. And in fairness, I think we both respected the fact of how far we've come because he's very successful as an actor. He does really well. And he deserves to because he's good, right? And obviously, for me, he knows that you've ended up being who you are. Like you haven't faltered, right? You've gone strength to strength. So he was there with his lady, but she didn't know what was going on. And I just shook his hand. He's tall as well. I went, it's cool. And he went, no, and I said, it's cool, brother. And after that, I think we even took a picture together and we just let it slide, right? But that was somebody at the time being I tell you who wasn't though. You know, you said you've had both. When I started EastEnders, my very first scene was with Steve McFadden.
Right, he's fucking great, Steve.
And I remember Steve, right, I had so much respect for him because it was quite intimidating because that's Steve McFadden.
It's fucking Phil, right?
That's fucking Phil, right? And he's so good at his job. In a weird sort of way, when you're doing scenes with him, you kind of don't want to let him down. It's such a weird, I don't know if anybody said that to him before, but especially when you're new and you're doing scenes with him, because he doesn't mess up. I can't remember a time in all the scenes, and we did a lot of scenes because our characters were nemesis with each other. So I had to do a lot of storyline was all my 3 years, EastEnders was with him, technically, right? And I can't remember a time where I heard him get a line wrong, where they said, oh, we got to do that again. Maybe it's happened, but in the scenes that I've done, I can categorically say I never saw him once make a mistake, right? He's just, right? But I'm sure he could say the same thing when it came to me and him, because I made a point of my scenes with him, my brain was just on you land every time, right? And he weren't being arsey or anything, he just commanded that in his presence. But when if you ever watch the very first time I was on EastEnders, and it's on YouTube, right? I walk in with flowers into his house, right? And he looks at me and I'm walking in and I'm looking around the place, then I deliver the line to him, yeah? So when I first rehearsed it, I looked at the pictures on the wall on this side and the cameras on this side, yeah? So when I walked in, I kind of looked and I looked at it, then I went and I said the line. And literally they said, okay, good rehearsal, we're gonna do a take. So I've walked, the wall is here, yeah? Or let's do it this way because the cameras are here. So the walls are here, I'm on your side, he's here. So he starts off in the room. I walk out into the kitchen to come back in. Unbeknownst to everybody else, he walked round the back of this wall and pulled me inside and went, next time you come in, don't look at the wall because the cameras can't pick up your face. If you're gonna look around, he goes, remember, they don't know, the audience doesn't know that there's not a wall here. Look at pictures on that side, even though you can't see them, right? Your face is not picked up. And I felt like he goes, he just walked back. But he didn't do it in front of people.
But he didn't have to do that.
And also he didn't have to do it.
Bang on.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like, and the thing is, Steve, if you're watching this, I've never forgotten that because I'm coming on and I'm being this tough guy and I'm kind of being intimidated. I'm in his house. I'm looking around like to say, like I'm mugging him off, right? So really, even though it's just acting, if me doing that, he could have just left me, right? Knowing that on screen, you just see the back of my head doing this. But he literally, and it's the fact that he went round, right? So everybody's talking and he said it to me. I went, oh my God, thank you. And he goes, and he went back on, right? So when you watch the scene again, you see me, I'm looking this way where the cameras are. Then I turned to him because of the note he gave, right? And then when I did the scene afterwards, he just looked at me and, because he had another scene to do, he just went and walked off, all right? And that's what I mean by like somebody who he could, if he wanted to be, he could have been an arsehole because he's Steve McFadden, but he wasn't.
He's one of the originals, isn't he? But
exactly.
I mean, I've met him a few times. I've been at him a few times. He's a decent fella. He's
sound
a friend.
guy.
And I've got to say, every time I've met him, he's always been just decent.
No, he is. He's word, and he's professional. As I say, any actor on EastEnders, they will tell you, right? I don't know of the time that I saw him mess a line up.
That's mad, isn't it?
I never saw it. I'm as I say, if somebody else saw it and they can tell that story on your show, fine. But me,
Have you got any funny stories about EastEnders?
EastEnders.
Do you have any mad super fans or any stalkers or anything?
I can tell you two stories. I can tell you one about me, right? That people realized that if I don't eat, if I'm hungry, right, the scene's gonna go wrong.
Right.
I didn't realize that about myself, but I remember one time I was doing a scene. Oh, she played my girlfriend in it. She played Steve's niece, right? But I remember we had to do a scene, and we had to do a lot of scenes together. And I had ordered my food, but it didn't come in time, so we had to go back on set. So I was like, oh, and they said he's waiting for his chicken. And I remember we was doing a scene, and she goes, "Can we stop? Richard needs to eat his chicken." Because I was trying to, because I was being professional, but I was starving and I was so vexed. But I was like, "No, but let's do it." And she's like, "Richard, no, I don't want you vexed, even though you're going to be professional." And I remember she stopped him. She goes, "Just give him half an hour, right?" And I remember I boxed off my chicken, and then afterwards my face was all greasy and shit. She was like, we had to do a kissing scene as well. She goes, "Wipe your face. Let's do it, right? All right." That's the first thing. But I tell you what did happen one time, right? So EastEnders does get crazy fans. No disrespect if you're watching crazy people, but right? But you get some people that are just, they're mad for it, right? So there used to be, you come in through the gates and they'll have people outside, right? And they, "Can you sign his autograph, blah, blah. So there's one particular guy, and I'm not good with names, but I always remember faces. So this guy, he would always come up to me and go, "Oh, you remember you signed this? Could you sign this one?" I go, "Yeah, cool, blah, blah." So anyway, we're doing a scene, me, Dean Gaffney, a few of us, we're all outside in the square, right? And there's somebody on the stage and they're doing a talk and we're all watching. So you might as well say all the cast, right, were outside. So I'm standing there, Dean's behind me, Dean's watching, he'll laugh, right? And there's a crowd there, and I can't remember, I think Tamika was there, but it was all in different sections because the cameras are all in between us. So there's a guy over there, and he's in between each take, he's looking at me going, "Yeah, cool." So because I'm just thinking, oh, he's just one of the extras, I see him all the time. So I said, "Yeah, cool." But my brain was going, why do I know that face, right? So then he was kind of, he was just a bit too excited outside. He's like, because you got the essays, the supporting actors that are there, but they're cool because they're part of the family. But he was just kind of, and he's really gleaming. And every time I looked at him, he's like, right? So I'm looking like I've already said hello, right? So I'm thinking, on the fifth hello, I'm like, so then I realized he's a fan that stands outside and somehow he's just walked in. but they EastEnders, they take it real serious because he could be a nutter, right? And I remember, like, because the way he kept on gleeing, and if he would have got away with it, it was about 5 or 6 hellos that he was giving me. I was like, there's too many hellos here, right? And I remember I turned, so now I've got to style it out because he's standing next to Tamika, he's standing next to everybody, and they don't know, he could be a nut, he could be a madman, right? So I literally, I said, "Dean," goes, "That guy there," I said, you know he's one of the guys that stands outside. He goes, "No fucking way." I goes, "Look, but we have to hold it down because we don't know where his mind will go if I alert and blah, blah." And he's looking at us, right? And I goes, "Dean, he's looking right at us, right?" So we're both going, right? And he's saying, "Yeah," right? But he's in the scene. They've actually filmed him. So Dean, I've then walked off and I said to my director, I said, "Do you know that? You see the guy there?" I said, "You know he's a madman. He's a fan that's from outside." And they went, "Shit." So now the scene's got to take another half an hour. We got to keep him in. Because otherwise we've got to reshoot the whole scene because he's in every shot, right? But now all the other actors, Tamika's like, because he's standing right next to Tamika, goes, "No, sir." Yeah, I said, "Tamika, you got to act normal," because he's literally right next to her. And she's going, "I'm standing next to the man." I said, "T can fight." I said, "T, if he moves, we're rushing, but you got to keep still," right? But the scene took maybe about an hour and a half. We alerted them about 45 minutes in. So for another 45 minutes, he was just there. Right. And then after the scene finished, they wrapped it up, and then somebody kind of went, "Hey, could you?" And he kind of went, right. But he couldn't believe it because he's now on screen, right? But that was one of the funniest times.
And obviously, you know, there's only two people who've played Donkey in Shrek. Eddie Murphy and fucking Richard Blackwood.
Yeah.
What was
mad.
that like?
Do you know what? I'm not
That must
gonna
have
lie.
been mad. When you got the call, you were like, fuck off. And you must have thought it was a wind-up, right?
So let me tell you exactly how that went. So one thing about me is I'm very honest, right? This business is either you're working or you're not, right? And I'm very lucky. Stand-up has paid my bills when there was no work, yeah? I was DJing for a while, as you know, but stand-up, I'm so glad that I took the route of stand-up first and I built my name in the circuit first, because you know, like, you do movies, but you know that you do many other things, right? And you know, when you want to, you go, you know what, I'm writing a movie, I know who I can bring in and do this movie. But for the actors, they're working whenever the work comes, right? And when they're not working, either they've got enough money where they are okay, or they have to do other jobs, if you think about it, right? And they're like, you know, Superman, thank God I was waiting for a film, a role, because maybe they haven't worked in 2 years, right? So it's like, so in the 2 years, what was you doing, right? In those 2 odd years where I'm not working, I'm doing stand-up, so there's a wage coming in. But sometimes I would stop and go, if I weren't doing stand-up and I haven't worked, you know, maybe I did another hood, or I did your film, and right, Outside Bet. But it's like, Outside Bet was what, 2000 and what?
2011, I think it came out 2012, and Another Hood was 2013, I believe.
13, okay. So,
or maybe I'm getting it wrong. Maybe it was 2011, 2012, but it was around that time.
so think about it. So I did Outside Bet 2011, and luckily Shrek came just after that, literally, right? But prior to that, I hadn't done nothing on TV to that magnitude in maybe about 6 years.
That's what people don't see.
That's what
They
you
don't
know.
remember. And you like, well, what you been doing for 6 years?
Cool.
I've actually been grafting.
Cool,
You know what I mean?
right? Or we lie, and when they interview us,
Arrested.
right? And you go, yeah, there's a few things in the pipeline. Pipeline, if you look through it, nothing there. Empty. If I blow it, it's just breath that's coming out the other side. There's not, or dust. But the pipeline, if you see any of my interviews from, let's say, 2002, 2003, when I went bankrupt, to 2000 and when I did Outside Bet and all that, every interview, what you got coming up? Oh, you see, I got a few things in the pipeline. Nothing, right? But luckily, I was doing stand-up. So when I got the call for Shrek, it's just after doing Outside Bet, right? And I was grateful. It's like, okay, I'm working, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, and I was in a few scenes for Outside Bet, and then it's like, okay, what am I going to do next, right? Do you know what I mean? So I was back to the drawing board again. So I auditioned for, I was doing a play, Cat on Hot Tin Roof, and then they said, oh, Shrek is coming to town. You know, you should try and audition for that. This is whilst I'm doing Cat on Hot Tin Roof, and I was like, nah, it's a musical. I don't think I'll get that. But, you know, and they was like, what are you talking about? You'd be good as Donkey. I was like, nah, right?
You've had fucking chart success as well.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Musicals, right?
It's a different race.
Oh my God, right? So I was like, nah, this is what the actors in the show were telling me for Cat on Hot Tin Roof. They were doing, the director was meeting people in the theatre, the Drury Lane, next door to where he was doing Cat on Hot Tin Roof. And they said, just go over there and just, you know, set up a meeting. So my agent set up a meeting. I met with the guy and I was making him laugh. And he goes, you're mad funny. He goes, you should come in for an audition. And I remember I went for the audition and then I had to sing. And I hadn't sung on that kind of level before. And I remember I sung and I could see in their faces, not hitting their notes properly. And I was thinking, yeah, that didn't go well. Anyway, I remember my agent Lee, who's my agent to this day, right?
What's his name?
Lee Morgan.
Oh yeah, Lee's great.
Lee. Yeah. So Lee has been my agent from back then, right? So Lee now, he calls me up. Remember, I'm not working now, right? So I'm just going to the gym, coming back home, right? Maybe a stand-up show, but I'm not working. And Lee phones me, and I remember I was in bed. And he goes, so, Shrek, they got back to me, and you start in, and I went, I said, did I get the job? He laughed and he went, because he knew how it felt. He goes, you got the job. And I remember feeling like I levitated in my bed. I actually felt like because I wasn't working. And I was like, oh my God. And then I remember when I got there, the guy that cast Eddie Murphy, I can't remember, is it David Katzenberg or?
Jeffrey Katzenberg.
Jeffrey Katzenberg. He's the person that cast me.
That's fucking amazing.
Not only that, he phoned me. So when we opened and you know, Donkey ended up becoming like one of the main characters in terms of what people came to see. And I remember,
it's the best character though.
It is, but it's the hardest character in terms of Eddie. That's Eddie, right? Eddie, what have you done for me lately? Right? I had to fit. Eddie Murphy is still Eddie Murphy, right? And he didn't do a shit donkey. His donkey was, you know what I mean? So iconic. So I remember that I got a phone call. And the woman said, hello, is this Richard Blackwood? And I said, yeah. She goes, the guy Jeffrey Katzenberg on the line. And I was like, who? And he's like, Jeffrey Katzenberg. I was like, okay. And he came and goes, Richard, oh my God, just want to say you're doing a great job. And I was like, this is, he goes, because I saw him, I met him once. He goes, I had to call you and had to let you know you're doing a great job. Keep up the good work, my man. All right. I know Eddie Murphy. I've told Eddie Murphy about you. You know I cast Eddie Murphy, right? And I was like, yeah, he goes, so I'm just letting you know. Anyway, good job. He called me all the way from America just to let me know. I just need to let you know how well you're doing. And I was like, oh my God.
But that night you were like, on your fucking chest.
Yeah, no, you know, when girls are talking to you funny. Girls are like not calling you back. You're like, first of all, I had Jeffrey on the phone, so f you. Right? But like literally, right, that was when I knew that, okay, maybe I'm onto something. Maybe I know what I'm doing. Right, because that was just my interpretation of what Donkey was going to be. Because I made sure that I didn't watch the film. I'd seen the film many moons before, but I didn't watch it again. Right,
you didn't want to intimidate Eddie Murphy. You want to do your own thing. Right?
I wanted to do my own thing, right? And luckily, it was good enough. And to this day, people say like, "Wow, you played Donkey in Shrek," right? But it's so weird because people. My black people, I love them.
You can listen. You played the manager of Lamesbury's. You played a gay man. Played a donkey. I mean, you've fucking done a few things, Rich.
No, it's all in my. It's all
DJing, singing.
It's all in my bio.
Is there anything you can't do?
No. You see, back in the day, I would have limited myself, but you because one thing about the UK, unlike America, is that Americans celebrate the talents that you have. They embrace it, right? Because that's how you're gonna make your money. So if you can sing, you can dance, good for you, right? Because if you think about the people we grew up on, especially the old films with like, you know, Frank Sinatra and, you know, and all these people, Gene Kelly and all these people that we used to grow up watching. And even our own, Bruce Forsyth, all these people that we grew up watching, they could do it all. Right, do you know what I mean? You know, when you used to watch Morecambe and Wise and things like that, they could act, they could sing, right? They could dance, right? And classically trained. You know, when you see them tap dance and blah, blah, and to the point where they're putting comedy in the tap dance sketch. Like, that's how good they were, right? That's our British culture. So we would grow up watching that. And especially the black and white films and things like that. And we go, and for me, it affected me in the way of, you should be able to do it all, right? Because they could do it all. Cilla Black, I made jokes about Cilla Black, right? I do a stand-up where I talk about this little bit. It has nothing to do with Cilla Black, but I just do an impression of her, right? Singing Surprise, Surprise. And then in the middle of it, I said, we don't get presenters that would sing and then talk and then carry on singing, right? It's like Cilla would go, surprise, surprise. She'll start singing. And then in the middle, she'll go, on today's show, we've got blah, 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 blah. And then go, surprise, and go back into singing again. Tell me the last time you saw somebody do that? Like today's presenters that will literally come out, there's a band behind them. Remember, she'll have the band and she'll come out and she will sing brilliant voice. Then there's a breakdown in the music. Then she'll turn to the camera and go, today on the show. And she'll just talk about who's on the show. And then she'll go, surprise, and go back into song. And you go, that was normal, right? Find me somebody that can do that now. Find me someone now that comes on, sings, says, on today's show, we have blah, 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 back in song, dance, boom. Anyway, let's get on with the show. You don't get that no more. So, but I grew up in that era, right, where that's what a presenter could do. They could sing, they could dance, right? They could do stand-up, they could do all those things, right? In a half-hour show, right? You saw all of that. I'm from that school. But as I was coming up and I was, let's say I did the music and I had a hit song, I had 2 hit songs, right, rapping and stuff. Then everybody's like, oh, you think you're a rapper? And I was like, I'm not bad at it. So I've had 2. I've had a top 10 in a time where top 10s weren't easy to come by, right? My song went number 3 over Travis, who Travis was huge at the time, right? Like, let's just say I hosted, but I was still a TV presenter. I hosted Top of the Pops and brought myself on. I remember, like, I was doing Top of the Pops and the director went, you're a presenter, aren't you? I went, yeah. He goes, introduce yourself on. And I'm like, what? He goes, introduce yourself on. So I was like, yo, it's Richard Blackwood here. And at number 3, me, and I remember I did the song, right? And then he was like, we would like you to be a host of Top of the Pops because you do that as well. And it was like, so I was doing all these different things, but back then, I was not being ridiculed, but people kind of didn't like the fact that...
You stay in your lane.
Yeah. Whereas now... Right now, I think people are starting to embrace the fact of me now. Like, Richard, you do stand up. You do like you can go from playing a serious role in EastEnders or Hollyoaks to going on stage, right, and doing all these or presenting now. But back in the 90s when I was doing it first, they didn't really like it.
Right. So looking at your career over 32 years,
yeah.
I mean, you do sound like a really old bloke, but you're not.
Not facially, but
not many people have a career that spans, over 3 decades, and you're still going, right?
Yeah,
which
definitely.
which is amazing.
Yeah.
So what's your sort of plans now for the future?
Do you know what?
What have you got in the pipeline?
The pipeline's actually got something in it though.
I love it.
I ain't gonna lie. If there's any footage of me from 2003 to 2009, that pipeline, that was my go-to, yeah. And they believe me as well because I was an actor. Like, yeah, I got some, don't want to jinx it.
Honestly, I would tell you about it, but I've signed an NDA.
Signed an NDA, I can't never. And they'll turn to the camera, Richard Blackwood's got something coming soon. Never came out. But now I've got I've got 2 films coming out. One called Flover, which is like a comedy horror. And another one, which I can't remember the title of, but it's which is really sad. But I don't know when that's coming out, but they're both coming out this year. That's what I do know. I'm doing a stand-up tour as we speak.
Amazing.
Right? Up and down the UK.
How long is that going to go on for?
That's just under 2 months.
Wicked. Well, what we'll do, if you send me the link, this will be out, so I'll make sure I put the link.
Yeah.
So anyone that wants to see the big man on the stage, click on the link.
Yeah, click on the link, and that's not in the pipeline. That's now, so you can actually go to that right now. Check the yeah, it's there. Right. We opened in Manchester, and it was really sold out. It was nice because I do stand up all the time, but when it's your own show, like if I'm doing stand up, it's me and some other comedians that are going to be on the bill. So when the audience come, they come for a night of comedy with everybody. But when you get a sold out show and they've come just to see you, and also you're on stage for an hour, hour and a half, and they're interested in what you have to say. These are people that I've seen you before, or they know of you, and they trust that you can have me entertained for that amount of time. That's the best feeling in the world. So that's happening now as well. And then there are, I'm going to say it, there are other things in the pipeline, but they're actually in there.
One of the takeaways that we always ask any guests that come on here is obviously, like you mentioned earlier, you had that unfortunate thing when you ended up going through bankruptcy, and then you've had to rebuild, and like you said, you didn't have anything going on. But through all this, to maintain a 32-year career, there must have been some things that you sort of live by, some mantras.
I do.
Yeah, so it'd be good to hear your sort of words of advice to anyone starting out in the business or anyone that's in the business that's having a tough time.
Do you know what? Okay, I've got a few mantras that I do live by, and which I can absolutely happily say that I made them up. So my first one is aspire to inspire before you expire, right? There are people that they hear it, and there are a few people that when they've heard it, they've gone, that's Richard Blackwood saying, right? Because I know I came up with that, right? And I've got it tattooed on my arm. Aspire to inspire before you expire. Because I believe that if you, especially, no matter what realm you're in, if it's entertainment, behind the camera, whatever it may be, but you are inspiring somebody else that is looking at that and they're uncertain, right? And I believe that you shouldn't be afraid of taking on that mantra of trying to inspire people. Sometimes people don't want to take that on because they believe that's too much on their shoulders. But if you choose to be, especially if you're going to be in front of the camera, if you choose to be in front of the camera where the whole point of you being there is that people admire you, people gravitate to you, your face is drawing these people in. You can't on one side, for me personally, be that person, aspire to be that person, but then not take on what comes with that, which is that you are inspiring people. So therefore, it does mean that you have to move maybe a bit more correct than somebody else because the camera is on you. And guess what? You said you wanted to be in front of the camera. So you can't then say, like when people say, oh, but I don't want to be a role model. And it's like, well, then do something that's not in front of the camera. To me, right? Because that's sort of hypocritical. I want you to rate the work that I do. And in doing so, that means that when you see me in other things, you want to come and see it because my face draws you in. My talent draws you in. But guess what? There are many talented people out there. So the fact that you tune into me means that I have something that I should be grateful for, yeah? But then I'm going to act an arsehole on the street and and behave a certain way and say, well, I'm not a role model. And it's like, in a weird sort of way, it's like, well, how dare you, right? Because you could have chose a job where you're not seen. Right? Then you can be an arsehole to everybody and no one gives a shit. But you can't, it's like you're asking for one thing, right? So like, don't get me wrong, like when you're famous, people, sometimes you get unwanted attention, but you're supposed to chalk it to, that's the game. If you're a criminal and you get caught, criminals go, well, if I get caught, it's part of the game. Right? Not, oh, I'm in prison. Why am I here? It's like, mate, you stole that jewelry. Right? Like, there was a likelihood you could get caught. The aim is to get away, right? And if you do, then you're lucky, right? But it's part and parcel. You can't complain about prison. The prisons were built for people like us, right? I mean, our job is to stay out, right? I mean, but it's part of the game. So that's my first mantra, and my second thing is that. Entertainment, as much as it can be seen like it's such a great thing, but right? We wouldn't want our kids to be in entertainment unless we were managing them, if you think about it, right? Because we know what comes with this business. And it's not as nice as it looks. We make it look nice. The little excerpts when we're on camera, we can paint this image for the hour, 2 hours, however long we're on screen. But we know that sometimes we have to go on screen and we've just gone for a breakup, right? I remember doing a play and my grandparents that raised me, my grandma had just passed and we were burying her. So they allowed me, I wasn't even allowed the day off. I had to go in the morning to the funeral of the woman that raised me and be back in time to perform because there wasn't an understudy. And the director, Paulette, said, Richard, with the greatest respect, I want to let you have that day off, but I can't. You're going to have to come back and perform, right? So I remember there's a scene in it where I have to cry at the end. And I cried for real because, and I remember, what's his name? He was in EastEnders, actually. I said that, I forgot his name. But he had to hug me in the scene. He plays my brother in it. And there's a scene where I'm divulging that I'm the bad guy, even though he was always the bad guy. And I'm letting off and saying, I did this because you, blah, blah. It was called something water. It'll come back to me, right? But I remember in the scene, I do it and then he hugs me, we embrace, and then we part. But in this scene, I just buried my grandma, right? So I'm saying the lines, but he can see I am tearing like I'm going. And literally, I don't even think I got all the lines out. And he just grabbed me and he held me. And he was only supposed to hug me maybe for 5 seconds. It was about a minute, right? Because as I went to let go, he just went, no, right? And he would not let me go because he knew you're not ready, right? And he just went, it's okay. So I broke down. Literally, I just broke down and he just held me. And I could see Paulette and everybody at the side going, just keep him there, right? Because as far as the audience is concerned, this is powerful. They don't know he's just buried his mum, right? So he's gone, right? And literally he held me, and as I'm hugging him, I did this to his back to say, I'm okay now, right? And he held me and he's like, you good, right? And then let go, and I carried on the rest of the scene. But I was gone. To the audience, oh my God, they don't know, right? So I say that to say, then when I did Hollyoaks, my mum had passed from cancer, yeah? I had to do a scene where Kelly, right, who played my partner, was diagnosed with cancer, right? So it's already touching. I only buried my mum maybe 3 months before. The whole storyline is that Kelly has got cancer now, right? My partner, and I'm dealing with that. So I had to do a scene where I get told that she's got cancer, and I sit out in the street and I break down, right? And Tamara, right, who is in Hollyoaks, right, good friend of mine, Tamara is the only person that understood this is going to be hard for him because he's just buried his mum, right? So she's at the top of the stairs, and in the scene, she sees me and she sees me break down, but she's got to pretend that she hasn't seen me. But she's watching me because she knows so I remember the director was like, and they was really nice, and the director was like, listen, I know this is tough for you. You're going to be okay? And I said, yeah. And I couldn't cry at first. And then they was like, listen, it's all right. We've got enough. Then it just came, and he ran and he goes, stop the camera now, right? And it was me crying, right? And because I couldn't stop it, right? And literally, they was just about to wrap up, right? They was packing away the cameras, right? And then it just came, and they just caught it, right? And then literally they went, Richard, it's a wrap. And then I had to stop myself from crying. And I remember Tamara came down the stairs and she hugged me, right? Do you know what I mean? So that's what I mean by this business. You see us on screen, and whether it's presenting, podcasting, whatever it is, we're delivering what we're delivering, but you don't know. In that scene, people watch that scene now and go, I know the scene he's talking about. That's the scene when my mum's just passed in real life, right? Do you know what I mean? Right? Like there's been times where I've got my very first time, and I'll leave it on this. Very first time I dealt with any kind of anguish was back in 1990, I want to say 5. And I was going out with this girl, right? And I was 94, and I was going on the stage. She came with me to the show. Right, we're arguing on the way to the show. It was at the Croydon Clock Tower. If she's watching, she'll laugh, right? We're at the Croydon Clock Tower, and I'm like, listen, I'm trying to get my head right. We'll argue about this later, blah, blah. So she's come with me into the show. So I'm sitting against the wall, and the stage is we're at the back of the audience. The stage is there. So the comedians will all kind of sit here, and then when it's their turn, they just go around and go on stage. So I'm closing the show, right? Croydon Clock Tower, for any comedian, they know that that's one of the hardest gigs to do. Like, I don't know what it is about the audience. They just stiff up, they don't want to laugh, yeah? So all the comedians are having a warm time on there. Terry, I shit you not. Right? We're sort of still semi-arguing, like, right. She goes, I'm done with you. It's over. So I went, what? Because we're going to be quiet, I go, you breaking up with me now? Yeah. And she looked at me in my face and went, yes, it's over. Whilst he's about to call my name, right? And I remember going, because we were together for a while. We weren't like we were just a little muck around relationship. And I remember thinking, like, what the fuck, right? And I looked at her, and I was hoping that she was going to go, no, do you know what? Let's speak afterwards or whatever, right? She looked me dead in my face. Just like I said it, right? And I remember, and then Richard, you're up next. And I remember, I shit you not, I walked round, right, and I'm standing at the side of the stage, and I'm fuming, right, because the woman that I love has just broken up with me. I am fuming. Terry, I went on that stage, right, 2 years into my stand-up, 3 years max, I tore that place down. My jokes came through such anger, but what they saw was me going, wham, wham, just hitting home runs. But they don't realize it was fueled by, every joke I was going, you little bitch. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it without saying the words, but every time I'm hitting and the crowd's going, "Roy," I'm looking at her like, and she can see me going, "Fuck you," right? And she's saying it, right? But now she's seeing all these girls going, "Woo, hey," right? So literally every woman, because women like it when a man can make them laugh. Every woman, I don't give a fuck, they were sitting with their man, letting go of their man's arm, oh, wow, right? So when I come off stage, literally the only thing they didn't do was stand up. It was so, anybody in there, no disrespect, if I went to f- any woman in there, that would have happened if I wanted to. Every woman was like, oh my God, it's yours. It's yours. He's just a friend, right? Right? And I remember I walked back over to her because the thing is, I drove her there. So I was driving her back home. She's broke up with me, right? And I remember she goes, look, I think we need to talk about this. And I remember at that point, right, we worked it out. But at that point, I realized that this business that we're in, this audience doesn't know that I tore it down because I was fuming because my woman's just broke up with me. But also, in that moment, she also didn't give a shit that you got to go on stage. Right now is when I'm breaking up with you, right? So you have to perform regardless, yeah? Not everybody can do that, right? So I say to you that this business, it's not for, it looks like it is, but it's not for everybody because when those cameras come on, time is money. So they don't care that you've just lost your mum, or they don't care that your dog just died. They don't care that somebody in your family has got cancer. They don't care. We got to film it today, mate. Because somebody else is coming in tomorrow. We've got to film it right now. You suck that shit up and let's go, right? And you just have to suck it up. And I know I'm saying it to you, and I know in your head you can visualize many times that you've had to do the same thing in your own world, right? And the people come up to you, go, oh, well done. And they don't know, if only you knew what's just happened to me. If only you knew what just happened. But you can't tell them. You just got to get up because no one cares. That no one comes to a show and you can't come out and go, listen, before I tell these jokes, girlfriend's just broke up with me, mum's in hospital. But anyway, let's have it. They're gonna be like, mate, don't bring the mood down. We don't want to hear that. Tell us some jokes. So you got to suck that shit up. So that's that. Besides aspire to inspire before you expire, it's not for everybody, right? You choose it because it's the only thing you dream of. It's the only thing that makes sense to you. But if there's something else that you're good at and it's on par, I would say do that.
Get a proper job.
Get a proper job. Post office.
But Rich, honestly, mate, it's been an honour to have you on. It's been so funny.
Sorry,
it's
I
been
great.
great. But it's great having a proper chat, and it was good hearing all your stories. And anybody that doesn't know about the Blackwood, they do now.
Oi! You see? This is what I'm trying to say. When a white man says it, the Blackwood, right? When he says it, you know it's real, right? It's just been
Shall I not say the Blackwood then? Shall I say Richard?
No, the Blackwood,
okay.
right? The Blackwood. If it was the Black, should I go pause, right? Right? You can say the Blackwood. No, do you know what? And as I say, next role that I do for you, can I have a straight roll?
Yeah, I promise.
That's all I ask for.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Richard Blackwood, what an amazing guest, what a legend, what a laugh. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you on the other side.